of the tournament, and Australia, they will suffer an early exit if Zimbabwe beat Ireland on Tuesday. Staying at the World Cup, and England remain just as confident that they can win the tournament despite their unconvincing group stage performances. That's according to batter Will Jacks. Harry Brook's side qualified for the Super 8 stage by beating Italy, but they were again pushed by a lower-ranked team. They began their tournament edging past Nepal in a final ball finish and then lost to West Indies before coming through a nervy encounter with Scotland. Speaking though about the victory over Italy, Jacks said, "Winning like that can only be good for you. We've got a lot of stuff we can get better at, but coming into today, my own personal expectation and desire is we want to win easily. We don't want it to be that close and feel those nerves, but going forward it's more experience and we can never have enough of that." Moving on to football now, and referee Chris Kavanagh and his assistant Nick Greenhall have not been selected for a Premier League game this weekend. The pair were heavily criticised for their decisions in the fourth round FA Cup tie between Aston Villa and Newcastle, in which there was no video assistant referee. VAR will not be brought in until the fifth round. While the professional game match officials, the PGMO, bases its selections on factors including post-match performance assessments conducted by an independent key match incidents panel, ensuring accountability for officials. Among the errors, Kavanagh and Greenhall missed a clear offside against Tammy Abraham for Villa's opening goal, a potential red card for Lucas Digne for a challenge on Jacob Murphy, and also a penalty when Digne handballed it in the box. However, the referee pointed for a free kick outside of it. Tennis now, and British number one Emma Raducanu has suffered a first-round defeat at the Dubai Tennis Championships. She recovered from a set and a breakdown against Antonia Ruzic to force a decider, but the Croatian prevailed, winning 6-1, 5-7, 6-2. Ruzic, she's ranked 67th in the world and was one of 7 lucky losers from qualifying to fill the main draw after several players pulled out through injury, illness or a schedule change. And finally, finishing in Winter Olympics, and Great Britain's men's curling medal hopes have been cast into doubt. That's after a shock 8-6 defeat by Norway has left them scrambling to make the semi-finals in Cortina. Bruce Moat's world champions had lost 2 of their opening 6 matches, but they were expected to beat the Norwegians for their 5th victory of the competition. Leading 4-2 after 6 ends, it appeared they were in good shape. However, a few untimely errors, combined with a disciplined display by their unheralded opponents, left them 6-4 down with 2 ends left. Moat's attempted triple takeout in the penultimate end was a fraction out, but still yielded 2 to level the scores going into the last. However, Norway held their nerve with the hammer to close out an unexpected victory. The British rink, they will need to beat both Canada on Tuesday and the US the following day to ensure they qualify for the next round. And speaking on this, Hammy McMillan said, "We need to win our next 2 to make sure we're definitely in the semis. We're doing a lot of the things right. We just need to find that extra inch." That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in cricket, and Australia's hopes of reaching the Super 8 stage of the T20 World Cup are hanging by a thread after their 8-wicket defeat to Sri Lanka. Australia managed to make 181 all out from their 20 overs. They did look on course for a huge score as they made a fast start, their first wicket falling when they were 104. That was after just 8.3 overs. Travis Head and Mitch Marsh making a 56 and a 54 respectively. However, Sri Lanka battled back well with the ball, limiting the Aussies to 181. And Sri Lanka in reply, they were brilliant, and it was their opener, Pathum Nissanka, who made an unbeaten century from 52 balls, who led his side to victory. He was ably supported by Kusal Mendes, who made a 51 from 38. It means that Sri Lanka have confirmed their place in the Super 8 stage of the tournament, and Australia, they will suffer an early exit if Zimbabwe beat Ireland on Tuesday. Staying at the World Cup, and England remain just as confident that they can win the tournament despite their unconvincing group stage performances. That's according to batter Will Jacks. Harry Brook's side qualified for the Super 8 stage by beating Italy, but they were again pushed by a lower-ranked team. They began their tournament edging past Nepal in a final ball finish and then lost to West Indies before coming through a nervy encounter with Scotland. Speaking though about the victory over Italy, Jacks said, "Winning like that can only be good for you. We've got a lot of stuff we can get better at, but coming into today, my own personal expectation and desire is we want to win easily. We don't want it to be that close and feel those nerves, but going forward it's more experience and we can never have enough of that." Moving on to football now, and referee Chris Kavanagh and his assistant Nick Greenhall have not been selected for a Premier League game this weekend. The pair were heavily criticised for their decisions in the fourth round FA Cup tie between Aston Villa and Newcastle, in which there was no video assistant referee. VAR will not be brought in until the fifth round. Well, the professional game match officials, the PGMO, bases its selections on factors including post-match performance assessments conducted by an independent key match incidents panel, ensuring accountability for officials. Among the errors, Kavanagh and Greenhalgh missed a clear offside against Tammy Abraham for Villa's opening goal, a potential red card for Lucas Digne for a challenge on Jacob Murphy, and also a penalty when Digne handballed it in the box. However, the referee pointed for a free kick outside of it. Tennis now, and British number one Emma Raducanu has suffered a first-round defeat at the Dubai Tennis Championships. She recovered from a set and a breakdown against Antonia Ruzic to force a decider, but the Croatian prevailed, winning 6-1, 5-7, 6-2. Ruzic, well, she's ranked 67th in the world and was one of 7 lucky losers from qualifying to fill the main draw after several players pulled out through injury, illness or a schedule change. And finally, finishing in Winter Olympics, and Great Britain's men's curling medal hopes have been cast into doubt. That's after a shock 8-6 defeat by Norway has left them scrambling to make the semi-finals in Cortina. Bruce Moat's world champions had lost 2 of their opening 6 matches, but they were expected to beat the Norwegians for their 5th victory of the competition. Leading 4-2 after 6 ends, it appeared they were in good shape. However, a few untimely errors, combined with a disciplined display by their unheralded opponents, left them 6-4 down with 2 ends left. Moat's attempted triple takeout in the penultimate end was a fraction out, but still yielded 2 to level the scores going into the last. However, Norway held their nerve with the hammer to close out an unexpected victory. The British rink, well, they will need to beat both Canada on Tuesday and the US the following day to ensure they qualify for the next round. And speaking on this, Hammy McMillan said, "We need to win our next 2 to make sure we're definitely in the semis. We're doing a lot of the things right. We just need to find that extra inch." That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in cricket, and Australia's hopes of reaching the Super 8 stage of the T20 World Cup are hanging by a thread after their 8-wicket defeat to Sri Lanka. Australia managed to make 181 all out from their 20 overs. They did look on course for a huge score as they made a fast start, their first wicket falling when they were 104. That was after just 8.3 overs. Travis Head and Mitch Marsh making a 56 and a 54 respectively. However, Sri Lanka battled back well with the ball, limiting the Aussies to 181. And Sri Lanka in reply, well, they were brilliant, and it was their opener, Pathum Nissanka, who made an unbeaten century from 52 balls, who led his side to victory. He was ably supported by Kusal Mendis, who made a 51 from 38. It means that Sri Lanka have confirmed their place in the Super 8 stage of the tournament, and Australia, well, they will suffer an early exit if Zimbabwe beat Ireland on Tuesday. Staying at the World Cup, and England remain just as confident that they can win the tournament despite their unconvincing group stage performances. That's according to batter Will Jacks. Harry Brooks' side qualified for the Super 8 stage by beating Italy, but they were again pushed by a lower-ranked team. They began their tournament edging past Nepal in a final ball finish and then lost to West Indies before coming through a nervy encounter with Scotland. Speaking, though, about the victory over Italy, Jacks said, "Winning like that can only be good for you. We've got a lot of stuff we can get better at, but coming into today, my own personal expectation and desire is we want to win easily. We don't want it to be that close and feel those nerves, but going forward it's more experience and we can never have enough of that." Moving on to football now, and referee Chris Kavanagh and his assistant Nick Greenhalgh have not been selected for a Premier League game this weekend. The pair were heavily criticised for their decisions in the 4th round FA Cup tie between Aston Villa and Newcastle, in which there was no video assistant referee. VAR will not be brought in until the 5th round. Well, the professional game match officials, the PGMO, bases its selections on factors including post-match performance assessments conducted by an independent key match incidents panel, ensuring accountability for officials. Among the errors, Kavanagh and Greenhalgh missed a clear offside against Tammy Abraham for Villa's opening goal, a potential red card for Lucas Digne for a challenge on Jacob Murphy, and also a penalty when Digne handballed it in the box. However, the referee pointed for a free kick outside of it. Tennis now, and British number one Emma Raducanu has suffered a first-round defeat at the Dubai Tennis Championships. She recovered from a set and a breakdown against Antonia Ruzic to force a decider, but the Croatian prevailed, winning 6-1, 5-7, 6-2. Ruzic, well, she's ranked 67th in the world and was one of 7 lucky losers from qualifying to fill the main draw after several players pulled out through injury, illness or a schedule change. And finally, finishing in Winter Olympics, and Great Britain's men's curling medal hopes have been cast into doubt. That's after a shock 8-6 defeat by Norway has left them scrambling to make the semi-finals in Cortina. Bruce Moat's world champions had lost 2 of their opening 6 matches, but they were expected to beat the Norwegians for their 5th victory of the competition. Leading 4-2 after 6 ends, it appeared they were in good shape. However, a few untimely errors, combined with a disciplined display by their unheralded opponents, left them 6-4 down with 2 ends left. Moat's attempted triple takeout in the penultimate end was a fraction out, but still yielded 2 to level the scores going into the last. However, Norway held their nerve with the hammer to close out an unexpected victory. The British rink, they will need to beat both Canada on Tuesday and the US the following day to ensure they qualify for the next round. And speaking on this, Hammy McMillan said, "We need to win our next 2 to make sure we're definitely in the semis. We're doing a lot of the things right. We just need to find that extra inch." That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in cricket, and Australia's hopes of reaching the Super 8 stage of the T20 World Cup are hanging by a thread after their 8-wicket defeat to Sri Lanka. Australia managed to make 181 all out from their 20 overs. They did look on course for a huge score as they made a fast start, their first wicket falling when they were 104. That was after just 8.3 overs. Travis Head and Mitch Marsh making a 56 and a 54 respectively. However, Sri Lanka battled back well with the ball, limiting the Aussies to 181. And Sri Lanka in reply, they were brilliant, and it was their opener, Pathum Nissanka, who made an unbeaten century from 52 balls, who led his side to victory. He was ably supported by Kusal Mendis, who made a 51 from 38. It means that Sri Lanka have confirmed their place in the Super 8 stage of the tournament, and Australia, they will suffer an early exit if Zimbabwe beat Ireland on Tuesday. Staying at the World Cup, and England remain just as confident that they can win the tournament despite their unconvincing group stage performances. That's according to batter Will Jacks. Harry Brook's side qualified for the Super 8 stage by beating Italy, but they were again pushed by a lower-ranked team. They began their tournament edging past Nepal in a final ball finish and then lost to West Indies before coming through a nervy encounter with Scotland. Speaking, though, about the victory over Italy, Jacks said, "Winning like that can only be good for you. We've got a lot of stuff we can get better at, but coming into today, my own personal expectation and desire is we want to win easily. We don't want it to be that close and feel those nerves, but going forward it's more experience and we can never have enough of that." Moving on to football now, and referee Chris Kavanagh and his assistant Nick Greenhall have not been selected for a Premier League game this weekend. The pair were heavily criticised for their decisions in the 4th round FA Cup tie between Aston Villa and Newcastle, in which there was no video assistant referee. VAR will not be brought in until the 5th round. While the professional game match officials, the PGMO, bases its selections on factors including post-match performance assessments conducted by an independent key match incidents panel, ensuring accountability for officials. Among the errors, Kavanagh and Greenhall missed a clear offside against Tammy Abraham for Villa's opening goal, a potential red card for Lucas Digne for a challenge on Jacob Murphy, and also a penalty when Digne handballed it in the box. However, the referee pointed for a free kick outside of it. Tennis now, and British number 1 Emma Raducanu has suffered a first-round defeat at the Dubai Tennis Championships. She recovered from a set and a breakdown against Antonia Ruzic to force a decider, but the Croatian prevailed, winning 6-1, 5-7, 6-2. Ruzic, she's ranked 67th in the world and was one of 7 lucky losers from qualifying to fill the main draw after several players pulled out through injury, illness or a schedule change. And finally, finishing in Winter Olympics, and Great Britain's men's curling medal hopes have been cast into doubt. That's after a shock 8-6 defeat by Norway has left them scrambling to make the semi-finals in Cortina. Bruce Moat's world champions had lost 2 of their opening 6 matches, but they were expected to beat the Norwegians for their 5th victory of the competition. Leading 4-2 after 6 ends, it appeared they were in good shape. However, a few untimely errors, combined with a disciplined display by their unheralded opponents, left them 6-4 down with 2 ends left. Moat's attempted triple takeout in the penultimate end was a fraction out, but still yielded 2 to level the scores going into the last. However, Norway held their nerve with the hammer to close out an unexpected victory. The British rink, they will need to beat both Canada on Tuesday and the US the following day to ensure they qualify for the next round. And speaking on this, Hammy McMillan said, "We need to win our next 2 to make sure we're definitely in the semis. We're doing a lot of the things right. We just need to find that extra inch." That's all for now. We'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We'll begin in cricket, and Australia's hopes of reaching the Super 8 stage of the T20 World Cup are hanging by a thread after their 8-wicket defeat to Sri Lanka. Australia managed to make 181 all out from their 20 overs. They did look on course for a huge score as they made a fast start, their first wicket falling when they were 104. That was after just 8.3 overs. Travis Head and Mitch Marsh making a 56 and a 54 respectively. However, Sri Lanka battled back well with the ball, limiting the Aussies to 181. And Sri Lanka in reply, well, they were brilliant, and it was their opener, Pathum Nissanka, who made an unbeaten century from 52 balls, who led his side to victory. He was ably supported by Kusal Mendis, who made a 51 from 38. It means that Sri Lanka have confirmed their place in the Super 8 stage of the tournament, and Australia, well, they will suffer an early exit if Zimbabwe beat Ireland on Tuesday. Staying at the World Cup, and England remain just as confident that they can win the tournament despite their unconvincing group stage performances. That's according to batter Will Jacks. Harry Brook's side qualified for the Super 8 stage by beating Italy, but they were again pushed by a lower-ranked team. They began their tournament edging past Nepal in a final ball finish and then lost to West Indies before coming through a nervy encounter with Scotland. Speaking, though, about the victory over Italy, Jacks said, "Winning like that can only be good for you. We've got a lot of stuff we can get better at, but coming into today, my own personal expectation and desire is we want to win easily. We don't want it to be that close and feel those nerves, but going forward it's more experience and we can never have enough of that." Moving on to football now, and referee Chris Kavanagh and his assistant Nick Greenhall have not been selected for a Premier League game this weekend. The pair were heavily criticised for their decisions in the fourth round FA Cup tie between Aston Villa and Newcastle, in which there was no video assistant referee. VAR will not be brought in until the fifth round. While the professional game match officials, the PGMO, bases its selections on factors including post-match performance assessments conducted by an independent key match incidents panel, ensuring accountability for officials. Among the errors, Kavanagh and Greenhall missed a clear offside against Tammy Abraham for Villa's opening goal, a potential red card for Lucas Digne for a challenge on Jacob Murphy, and also a penalty when Digne handballed it in the box. However, the referee pointed for a free kick outside of it. Tennis now, and British number one Emma Raducanu has suffered a first-round defeat at the Dubai Tennis Championships. She recovered from a set and a breakdown against Antonia Ruzic to force a decider, but the Croatian prevailed, winning 6-1, 5-7, 6-2. Ruzic, well, she's ranked 67th in the world and was one of 7 lucky losers from qualifying to fill the main draw after several players pulled out through.
For Middlesbrough, as a long ball sent forward towards Haji Wright, is defended well in the end by Malanda, who will then launch one long into midfield, gathered well by Frank Onyeka. One of those 4 changes made by Frank Lampard coming into this one. He makes his debut this evening, does the Nigerian midfielder, having signed on loan for 6 months from Brentford, who coincidentally play this evening in an FA Cup tie against Macclesfield, the other game available on this service. I'll try and keep you updated on the score in that one as this game goes on. They kicked off half an hour earlier as Coventry have started this game well in possession, and the ball's been spread over onto the far side for Sakamoto. One-on-one with Conway. Ball into the box. Not a bad one, and Coventry have struck the post early on. It's Mason Clark with the efforts, and Middlesbrough live to fight another day for the moment at least. De Silva gathers the ball on the near side, linking up well with Mason Clark until the number 10 overhits the pass and it's out of play for a goal kick. I think it might have actually been Haji Wright who got his head on it. But Kieran, brilliant start for Coventry, playing really direct stuff. Sakamoto, great ball into the penalty area, and Haji Wright so unfortunate.
It's a wicked ball in. I don't think he could have crossed that any better. Sakamoto, it's a really good delivery, but Haji Wright still does so well. He has to adjust his neck muscles completely to hook it goalwards, and in the end he heads it down into the ground. It skids off the turf and rattles off the post. Great chance. It's a deserved early chance for Coventry. They've started this game really intense. You think things have maybe just slacked off a little bit as of late for Coventry, hence why they surrendered that big gap that they did have at the top of the championship initially. But Middlesbrough just needing to wake up in this one. Once again, they've been caught. Once again, here come Coventry.
Yeah, driving forward through the midfield, it's Jack Radoni looking to try and capture some of that form he found at the start of the season. Lays it off to Sakamoto, who wants to run here at Matt Target. Gets it on his left boot, ball into the box, is blocked well and should be gathered by Frank Onyeka in midfield. Indeed it is. Excellent from the Nigerian. That's not a bad ball in towards the penalty area, but a calm chest back to Burn from Luke Ayling. Sees the ball ball into the hands of his goalkeeper. Gives me a chance to run you through the lineups for both these two sides. For Coventry, it's Rushworth in goal, a back four of De Silva, Latabadere, Thomas and Van Eyck. Midfield two of Grimes and Onyeka, with Ephron Mason-Clark, Jack Rodoni and Tatsuhiro Sakamoto supporting Haji right through the middle. As for Middlesbrough, it's Solomon Byrne in goal, a back four of Britton, Ayling, Malanda and Target. Midfield four of Brown, Morris, Hackney and McGree, with Whitaker and Conway making up the front two. Here is Tommy Conway now trying to make headway down the left-hand side. Finds Hackney in the midfield. Decent ball square to find Morris. Morris with an attempted effort towards goal is blocked comfortably, but Middlesbrough will restart 30 yards away from goal. Here's McGree on the near side. We'll just spread it across over to Britton. Britton back into the midfield now for Hayden Hackney with the captain's armband this evening for Borough. Links up well once again with Britton. Decent ball down the line to find Morris. His ball into the box is deflected up into the air by Matt Grimes, and Hackney has to gather and move it back to Alan Brown, who will get Middlesbrough going once again in midfield. This is probably pretty sensible list from Kim Hellberg's side. They were under the cosh in the opening 4 minutes, but they've now got a hold of the ball and are looking to get Coventry on the back foot themselves. Here's Whitaker away from a couple edge of the penalty. Whitaker with the effort. Always going to take some strike to beat Carl Rushworth from that distance, and off balance on his left boot. It's over the crossbar and behind the goal, but good response from the away side.
Yeah, it felt a very much trademark Morgan Whitaker chance, didn't it? And I tell you what, they can be a little bit lucky there, Coventry, because how many times has he scored a worldie from that exact position on his left foot, pretty central? Nobody's closing him down. It's almost like they invited him to shoot. Why on earth would you think that is a good tactic up against Morgan Whitaker? This time he's got it wrong, but we are only 4 minutes in, maybe just taking a bit of time to get his shooting boots on, and luckily for Coventry, it's a poor attempt from him, but a really good chance for a player of his standards. Scored so many goals this season as a winger, still one of the top scorers in the Championship. As you see Malanda, he goes back to Matt Target. I guess that's going to be a good battle, isn't it? Malanda up against Haji Wright today. You think Haji Wright's going to try play off the shoulder of Luke Ayling as much as possible, but let's see how that one pans out. Mason Clark, I'm a big fan of on the left-hand side. Him up against the ever-experienced Callum Britton. There's a lot of exciting duels to keep an eye out for tonight.
Yeah, there certainly is. It's going to be a fascinating game, and the opening 5.5 minutes have certainly been fascinating. Van Eyck now for Coventry. Ball down line for Sakamoto. Back to Van Eyck. And then ball all the way back at the feet of goalkeeper Carl Rushworth, who will launch a long left-footed ball over the top, looking towards Ephron Mason-Clark. Again, though, Luke Ayling showing composure and experience as he beats Mason-Clark in the air, just nods the ball back to Solomon Byrne, and gets his side moving once again. Here's Callum Britton down the near side. The former Blackburn Rovers man tries to move the ball down the near side. It's been blocked well by Mason-Clark, and it's out to play for another throw-in on the near side. A reminder of the poor form that Coventry find themselves in. Just 4 wins in their last 13 Championship games. They haven't won any of the last 3. And they find themselves second, as I mentioned, for the first time since the start of October. As for Middlesbrough, they've won all of their last 6 coming into this one in the Championship, and have been absolutely fantastic in front of goal and defensively. That's signing off Kim Hellberg after the departure from Rod Edwards has been an inspired one, as that's terrible from Hayden Hackney inside the penalty area. Rodoni with the strike. It's been blocked in the end by Malanda, and Borough can get it clear into the midfield, although Coventry have won it back. And then that's poor from Mason-Clark giving the ball away. Alan Brown there to recover, and you'd expect Callum Britton to get this clear. No, he links up well with Hayden Hackney. Almost brilliant play on the near side, but they've given the ball away again, have Middlesbrough. Ayling there with a crucial challenge on Onyeka. Sakamoto will win it over on the far side, but he's been forced wide. He's then surely been fouled there by Matt Target. He has, and that's going to be a free kick to the home side, which they take quickly. Van Eyck, ball down the line, finds Sakamoto. Sakamoto to the edge of the box. Onyeka with the effort. He's been blocked by Hackney, and this time McGree will gather over on the far side. Links up well with Conway. Target with a nice chip down the line back to the Australian. He's been tackled easily, though, by Grimes. This is a good spell here for Coventry. Sakamoto wins the ball back and links up well with Onyeka. Here's Rodoni. Poor pass looking towards the Japanese international, and Middlesbrough should be able to get clear this time, but they're playing themselves into danger tonight already, our Borough, and they're very, very lucky to have survived a couple of early scares.
Yeah, and we'll come back to the Rodoni chance as well. I think as much as there was a block in there, I actually think it looked like a poor strike, didn't it, from Rodoni? It looked like he sliced completely through it, and it would have been going well wide anyway. But Middlesbrough on 2 different occasions, deep down that their own right-hand side, could have cleared it long, and they chose to play a short little pass, a little bit more narrow, and it got caught out a couple different times. So it does just show the confidence Middlesbrough have. They don't necessarily want to be going long all the time. They're confident in possession, but Coventry's press was a little bit too lethal that time. This time Ayling goes long and they lose the possession again. So they're just trying to almost suss out Coventry at the moment. Matt Grimes with a terrible touch. Here come Borough.
Yeah, poor from Matt Grimes in midfield. Well won back by Tommy Conway. It's Hackney who can gather possession off of the forward and get his side moving once again, although they've been forced backwards well by Coventry. Here now is Morris in midfield. Oh, he's been challenged well by Radoni. Wanted a foul there. Matt Donoghue says no. And here come Coventry down the near side. It's Jay De Silva to Radoni once again. Radoni return ball to the Welsh international. De Silva cuts back on his right boot. Well, that's a good ball into the box. And it's headed away well by Matt Targett. Poor touch from Onyeka allows Conway to win it back, and then Onyeka's gone through the back of the Scottish forward, and that's going to be a free kick to Middlesbrough. Onyeka not happy with it. Hackney not happy with an early decision when Aidan Morris wasn't given a free kick. It's a little bit messy from both sides in the midfield.
Yeah, it was a great ball in there from De Silva, wasn't it? I think if you've got more of a lethal winger finisher than Sakamoto, you've got someone steaming in at the back post. And Sakamoto was just caught on his heels a little bit at the back post, didn't seem desperate to make the run across his man. I think if you get someone else out there, a little bit more of a player known for scoring goals, someone's probably steaming in back there. But yeah, Onyeka, a bit unfortunate, did get a touch on the ball. That's a great ball from Hackney. He's been very involved so far, as we now see McGree. Yeah,
McGree edge of the penalty area. It finds Conway. Good feet to get away from Van Eyck. Back to McGree. McGree looking towards target on the far side, but it's an overhit pass from the Australian and out of play for a goal kick. You talk about a more lethal winger on the far side for Coventry than Sakamoto. A reminder that Brandon Thomas Asante is still suspended after a retrospective ban after the game against Norwich, in which I have to say he was very, very fortunate that he was not sent off in, and ultimately the EFL decided that his actions in that game ought to be punished afterwards, and so he continues to miss out through suspension. As Ayling's done well in midfield to win the ball back and put a couple of decent challenges, and Borough have the ball back once more. Target, lovely ball to the far side for Conway, and his goal side of Van Eyck. Conway into the penalty, squares it towards Whittaker. Good interception from Bobby Thomas, and Coventry can get it clear through midfield. Onyeka's then been fouled by Aidan Morris, and that'll be a free kick to the home side. But just a reminder there from Tommy Conway how quick and how skillful he is, and a reminder from Matt Targett how good he is on the ball. Middlesbrough look dangerous when they come forward. They just look a little bit frail defensively.
Yeah, I thought he should have cut that one back, Tommy Conway. McGree made a great run for him on the edge of the box. I think this has probably shown us, hasn't it, this opening 11 minutes, it's going to be the game we expected. It's a bit of a basketball match. I think Middlesbrough look really, even though they've not started great, I think they look really dangerous when they have possession. And Coventry have to be wary of that because they're pressing really intense. They're chucking a lot of bodies forward. I think Middlesbrough could just lap that up and really hurt them on the counter, which they've almost done on a couple of occasions already. As we see Luke Ayling in possession, but what a great start to this it's been so far.
Yeah, it certainly has been. Here is McGree in midfield now for the visitors. Links up well with Hayden Hackney, who was surely fouled there in midfield. Referee doesn't even play advantage as Borough have the ball back once more. Here's Conway over on the far side. Back to Matt Targett. A reminder, it is still 0-0 in the FA Cup between Macclesfield of National League North and Brentford of the Premier League. They're very close to half-time in that game. We've had 12 minutes gone in the Championship tonight. Independent off-tube studio-based commentary. Coventry 0, Middlesbrough 0, but it's been a fascinating opening 12 minutes so far. That's a poor ball over onto the far side from Alanda. Telegraphed that pass, really, and Van Eyck intercepts, but he's put it out of play for a throw-in. So an opportunity once again for the visitors to get a hold of the ball and just maybe settle this game down a little bit, because it has been frantic to say the least. Brilliant for the neutral, but I can't imagine either manager will have been stood on the sideline thinking that's what they want to see, as Hackney will just return the ball back to the throw and take a target. He then loses out on possession, although Middlesbrough have done well to win it back. McGree's hit the deck in midfield. The referee has played advantage. Now he'll bring it back for the free kick as Onyeka's flattened Conway as the pass was moved on by the Scottish forward, and that'll be a free free kick for the visitors. He's certainly been involved on his debut so far, Frank Onyeka. Not necessarily all positively, but it almost feels like he's doing his job at the moment, which is allowing Matt Grimes to not worry defensively and just get himself on the ball.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking that he's a nailed-on yellow card as well in this game. That's a couple of aggressive challenges, aggressive fouls already in this one. Just trying to make his mark. He's going to be so busy today because Hellberg, what I quite like, it's really different to what we've really seen in a long time, especially in the Championship. It's very narrow, it feels, that his actual system. There's a lot of central-minded players in his system. You've got McGree, Morris, Brown, Hackney. They're all 4 natural central midfielders that all just pop up in random areas in the final third, whether one of them drifts wide at times. So it is really different approach from Hellberg to what we've usually seen in the Championship and English football in general, actually, which I think is why it's surprised quite a lot of people and a lot of teams in the Championship so far since he took over after Rob Edwards left for Wolves as Coventry go along. But yeah, Frank Onyeka, it's almost him and Grimes dealing with 4 central midfielders popping up all over the place. Grimes isn't necessarily known for being the aggressive presser or tackler, is he? It's more his on-the-ball quality. So he's got a big role tonight, Onyeka.
Yeah, absolutely. As Ayling looks to try and get this ball away from danger. Good pressing from Haji Wright. Sees the ball bounce out of play for a goal kick. It's Victor Torp who Frank Onyeka replaced in the starting lineup this evening, which I think is an interesting one. I've been a huge fan of Victor Torp so far this season, the Danish midfielder. But over recent weeks, he hasn't exactly been at his best. Feels at the moment he's suffering from a little bit of burnout. Maybe it's, so far it feels like it's been the right decision to give him a rest and allow Frank Onyeka to make his debut. But we'll have to wait and see how that progresses. That's a good bit of defending there from Bobby Thomas high up the field to put the ball out of play for a throw-in, given Middlesbrough's dangerous nature of that attack. As Alan Brown thought about taking the throw in quickly, instead we'll just leave it for Matt Targett. The other 3 changes, by the way, for Coventry were Bobby Thomas coming into the defence for Luke Wolfenden, remain SA bench for Efron Mason-Clark, and Jack Rodoni returned to the side for Josh Eccles. He's had his problems this season, Jack Rodoni, particularly in the last few months or so. He started the season on absolute fire, as of course Coventry did themselves as a team, but he's had his injury issues, which has really seen his form tail off. But I'll be hoping tonight, returning back to the starting lineup, he can really get himself back firing. Although so far he's not been overly involved, it has to be said. The ball's back at the feet of Coventry goalkeeper Carl Rushworth. Just going to roll it over to Bobby Thomas over on the far side, who will chip a ball into midfield. Rodoni will challenge Ayling for it, but it's Ayling who comes away with it. Just nods it down to Britton, who's lost out in midfield, although it's been won well in the end by Aidan Morris. Here's Ryan McGree trying to play the ball in behind, looking towards Conway. It's an overhit pass. Conway will give the thumbs up to the Australian, but in the end it's out of play for a goal kick. And it's pretty clear what these two sides want to do. For Coventry, it feels like they want to get the wingers one-on-one with the fullbacks. Neither Matt Targett nor Callum Britton are blessed with the most pace. And just as I say that, Mason Clark's got on goal side at Britton, and here he comes now, driving towards the Middlesbrough defence. Mason Clark with the strike. Good block comes in from Malanda, and he's given a corner away. Really crucial defending there from the Frenchman. He thought it should have been a goal kick, but in the end, he's done just enough to deny the goal-scoring opportunity.
Yeah, he's done just enough. I was worried for him. As soon as Mason Clark takes the final step overs and goes onto his left foot, I thought he's got too much from Malanda in terms of pace, but the big man stays with him, doesn't dive in too much, keeps his balance. That's what he does really well, is he's backpedaling as he guesses the wrong way, and he almost takes a couple of steps back. Usually defenders, they're gone at that point, and a quick winger has left them for dust, but he recovered really well. He got the block in, rightly so. It is a corner, and this in-swinging corner is going to be whipped in. 17 minutes on the clock, still 0-0.
Sakamoto takes the corner short to Rodoni. Rodoni, left-footed ball, is headed up into the air by Malanda. It'll just about leave the penalty area. As Conway, did he foul Sakamoto there? Well, the Japanese midfielder didn't appeal for it. And Borough can get it clear for Whittaker to chase, as De Silva does well to see it out of play for a throw-in on the near side. Good bit of play there from the Welsh international. Ball now back at the feet of Van Eyck, who will go all the way back to Carl Rushworth. Now back to De Silva on the near side. In fact, that was Lata Badere that he went to, the Jamaican international. into Grimes once more before Latibadero can move it onto the near side for De Silva. De Silva inside for Rodoni. Back to De Silva once more. Good patient plays for Coventry before Grimes will then chip one over the top looking towards Mason Clark, who's done well to challenge Britton and see the ball out of play for a throw-in off the head of the Middlesbrough fullback. De Silva will take it quickly to Rodoni. Rodoni holds off the challenge of Brown well before going back to De Silva. Here's Rodoni once more, left-footed ball towards the back post. Sakamoto can't get a clear header on it, and in the end it's well defended by Alan Brown, and Target will try and get it cleared down the line. Sakamoto will pen him in, but he gives away a throw-in over on the far side, and it's an opportunity once more for Borough to try and build out from the back. It's slowed down a little bit between these two, but what I would say is, as much as it has slowed down, it still feels like it's Coventry on top. Borough are actually the team that have taken a step back, and this is a real worry because Tommy Conway's hit the deck and straight away he's gone. It's his hammy. He's also rubbing his groin as well. So hamstring groin area for the Scottish international, and this is an absolute disaster for Middlesbrough and for Kim Helber because he's looked really dangerous in the opening period of this game.
Yeah, he has done. He has looked pretty good. He's always been drifting off the left, hasn't he? So far, Tommy Conway, last 4 championship appearances, he's got 4 goals, so he's a man on form. Got a couple against Preston, got one against Stoke, got one against Sheffield United. So the Scotsman has started to find his feet again in terms of scoring goals. Just on what you said there, in terms of its slowed down, I think the intensity hasn't slowed down, has it? I think the quality of play had slowed down for about maybe 5 or 6 minutes or so. I think we started seeing a couple more mistakes creep in for both sides, but it's been non-stop for the whole 90 minutes. It's felt like both sides have been on the attack at all times. It's not really had a slow period of possession. Sarmiento is the man who's been sent to warm up. That doesn't surprise me too much with how much Tommy Conway has been drifting off into wide areas. You think maybe Whittaker would go a little bit more central and maybe McGree gets a bit closer to Whittaker as well, but let's see if Conway is okay to continue. He's taking the approach like he's getting ready to be given another chance to get back onto the pitch, but he's still flexing his groin out on the side with the physio as we're about to get back underway with the Middlesbrough throw-in.
Yeah, it's an interesting one for Middlesbrough in terms of how they approach this. It doesn't look great for Tommy Conway. He did have his head in his hands while he was being stretched out by the physio, so we'll have to wait and see what state he's in when he comes on. They have got options off the bench, including Jeremy Sarmiento, who, as Kieran has just mentioned, has been sent to warm up. I'll break off because here come Coventry on the attack. Rodoni, ball into right, and it's into the back of the net. Half-hearted appeals from Luke Ayling for offside, but I think it's because he's allowed Haji Wright to get goal side of him, but Coventry won't mind one bit because the American has tapped into the back of the net, and 20 minutes gone, it's Coventry 1 at Middlesbrough 0.
And it is a big goal, and a lot of Coventry players are applauding Sakamoto for his great work. I think he's probably been Coventry's best player, hasn't he, so far? Sakamoto been really dangerous down the right-hand side, and Haji Wright, that's much better from him. That's what I want to see more of him. Just looking like the clinical number 9 that he wants to be. Over the last couple of years, you've seen him used out wide on the left, a little bit rotated with other strikers up front. That's so much better for him. What a turn from Sakamoto. He then found Rodoni, played it across the face of goal. It's a great tapping from Haji Wright. It runs across onto his left foot, so he takes his time in the decision-making. The goalkeeper gets a slight touch to it, but it goes through his legs. A great pick-up from Rodoni, but you can understand why a lot of the plaudits go to Sakamoto, because what a genius bit of skill it was from him to roulette away from his man. It allows the space to be opened up. Haji Wright wheels away, celebrating with a nice knee slide towards his own fans, and it's 1-0 to Coventry. It was only a matter of time till we saw a goal. As it stands, Coventry leapfrog Middlesbrough to top of the league.
11th goal of the championship season for Haji Wright. He's having a fantastic campaign, and that's another brilliant goal from the American, but a lot of the plaudits have got to go to Sakamoto and Rodoni in the build-up. First yellow card has just been handed out this evening by Matt Donoghue, and it's gone the way of the American Aidan Morris. It was just a bit late on the challenge there from Onyeka. Comes in from behind on the Nigerian international, and there's not really any other option for Matt Donoghue other than to yellow card the Borough number 18. They have to be careful here, do the away side, that they don't allow frustration to boil over, having gone 1-0 behind. It's going to be a difficult task to get back into this one, but if anybody can do it, it is Middlesbrough and Kim Hellberg. So we'll have to wait and see how they respond to this goal. But first things first, from a defensive point of view, they've got to defend this Matt Grimes free kick. It's not a bad ball into the box, but it's a little bit too deep. And Solomon Byrne will come off his line to pluck it out of the sky and get Middlesbrough moving once more. Here's Matt Target over on the far side. Got a bit of green grass to run into. We'll move it forward to Riley McGree. Back to Aidan Morris now. He's looking for options around him. Hasn't got anybody in midfield showing for him, so we'll go back to Ayling. Ayling then into midfield for Alan Brown. It's not a great pass from Ayling, but Brown does well enough to feed Britton on the near side. His pass then towards McGree isn't a brilliant one, but somehow Middlesbrough keep it moving until they don't. Sakamoto with a good bit of work in midfield. He then gives the ball away, and now Middlesbrough can get moving once more. Here's Brown down the near side for Whittaker. Whittaker one-on-one with De Silva. Takes it on his right boot. Ball into the box is defended well in the end by Lata Baderi and put out of play for a throw-in on the near side. We're into the second quarter of this one. It's been a thriller so far, exactly what we expected. It's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Independent off-tube studio-based commentary. Here's Kieran to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lucas. Hackney puts one into the area. It's a goal-mouth scramble. Grimes comes away with it, and Mason Clark can potentially clear his lines. That's a silly foul from Morgan Whittaker, who moments ago, I thought his ball was just a little bit too cut back. You could tell he crossed it on his weak right foot, put it into a dangerous area, but had to flash it more across the face of goal, should I say. As Hellberg watching on, he shakes his head, doesn't look best pleased. I don't think he should be too disheartened by his side's performance so far. I don't think they've been that bad. I think ultimately Coventry have taken a rare opportunity in the opening 24 minutes, and Haji Wright just becoming clinical in that sense. But Middlesbrough still well and truly in this. They're looking just as dangerous on the attack as Target heads away from the goal kick. Now it's going to be with Latabodia. Now it's with Rushworth again. He's going to boot it long up towards Haji Wright, but Luke Ayling wins his header. There's no one there to meet the second one. He dives in riskily. Luke Ayling. Rodoni gets there not once but twice. He's taken down by Whittaker. It should be a free kick. Nothing given. Whittaker carries it away. Then he's taken down by Rodoni. It felt like you fouled me, I want to get one back on you. Yeah,
and I think he's a bit fortunate there, Rodoni, not to pick up a yellow card because he's then barked in the face of Matt Donoghue. You can understand the frustration from the 24-year-old. He does really well to get away from Ayling, and he's caught from behind there by Whittaker, who takes none of the ball, but he has to show a little bit more composure, Rodoni, and not go through the back of the Middlesbrough attacker. In the end, as I said, he's fortunate to not pick up a yellow card, mainly from his reaction from the foul being given against him. But here come Middlesbrough on the ball now, moving it forward really quite nicely through midfield. Just as I say that, Alan Brown with a poor pass sees Coventry back with possession.
Yeah, when they're in the midfield, it's a lot of short, quick passing, isn't it, from Middlesbrough? What a flick on that is from Van Eyck to find Haji Wright. Sakamoto, lovely ball through in behind, just overhit for Mason Clark, who even Slady was that desperate to get on the end of it. What a ball that could have been from Sakamoto. Van Eyck won an incredible header in the build-up to that. And well, 26 minutes on the clock. It's 1-0 to the home side. It's been a thoroughly enjoyable watch so far. Onyeka's gone sliding into the challenge. It's his third. He's going to get a yellow card. And like I said, I think it was only 10 minutes ago I said he might be a walking, talking yellow card in this one. And he has got the card, and that doesn't surprise me.
No, it doesn't, and it's a challenge that he didn't need to make. I don't mind midfielders, particularly holding midfielders, giving away fouls when teams are coming forward with a bit of pace. But that wasn't a good yellow card to pick up because he's gone through the back of a player who was running backwards towards his own goal. There was no danger there for Coventry, and now he's on a bit of a tightrope. Is the Nigerian midfielder. I'd be surprised if he doesn't make it to the end of the game. And that's another free kick given away, this time by Jack Rodoni. That's two in quick succession for the former Huddersfield Town midfielder. This time it was on Aidan Morris. And I think somebody like Matt Grimes has just got to grab a hold of the Coventry number 5 and say, look, we're ahead in this one. No need to be getting so frustrated. Let's calm this down and let's not get ourselves needless yellow cards and make things more difficult for ourselves. Because at the minute, Coventry need to be looking to control this game and they're doing anything but.
He's up for it, isn't he, Jack Rodoni, so far? You can tell he's up for this one. As you see Luke Ayling pulling towards Hackney. He needs to get involved that little bit more. I thought he had a really good start in the opening 10 minutes, actually, but it's just quieting down a little bit. That's another silly foul from Mason Clark, who's given afters. Hackney, as the captain, has lashed out a little bit, but hasn't done too much. Mason Clark then just kicks the ball. Feels like Coventry are now taking the approach of, let's get under their skins, which is what you have to do in a game like this. This is first against second in one of the most competitive leagues in the world, really, in terms of, especially England as well. What a competition it is, the Championship. Another foul, this time from Haji Wright. And Middlesbrough, they've got to just do their jobs of not letting this boil over and not letting their let's say mentality boil over.
Yeah, they can't get frustrated, but that's clearly the game plan for Coventry now they're 1-0 up, is can we frustrate Middlesbrough, can we disrupt them, can we make things difficult? If you're Matt Donoghue, you've got to get a hold of this quickly. I'm not saying you've got to brandish a yellow card for every foul, but you've got to have a word with Matt Grimes and say, look, I'll let a couple go. The next one that's deemed needless, I will yellow card, because all of a sudden you will lose control of this game, and that's not what you want when it's been such a fantastic game of football so far. But it is really important that Middlesbrough stay calm and composed. Players like Luke Ayling, Matt Targett and Callum Britton, who have been there and done it before, have got to just get a hold of their play and say, look, this is going to happen. It's going to happen for the rest of the game. You cannot get frustrated. You have to just carry on.
Yeah, as we now see an attack, and Middlesbrough have been caught out. Here's Mason Clark on the left-hand side, into the penalty area, cuts inside, goes for goal. What an awful effort. That is from Mason Clark, who's looked dangerous all game. He's driving forwards. He's just got Ayling and Burn to beat. Driving in. Morris has been caught out. He wanted a free kick. That one was soft. What a chance. He just tries to take as long as possible, open it up, bend it into the far corner. He puts it so far wide.
Yeah, he does. It's poor from Mason Clark. I have to say, in the last 5 minutes or so, Aidan Morris has really struggled in the midfield. He really has. And on that occasion, he really did struggle. It was a weak challenge that came in on him. And rightly so, Matt Donoghue doesn't give a free kick. I have to say, a lot of credit's got to go to Luke Ayling for making that chance difficult for Mason Clark. You always know he's going to cut in on his right boot, and he covers that angle off. I would like to see from Mason Clark take that effort on his left boot, because the space was open for him to go towards the near post and force Burn into a save. Instead, he does, I guess, the more natural thing and take it on his right boot, but Ayling defends it too well, has it covered off, and in the end, chance goes a begging. But Middlesbrough got to get a hold of this midfield battle. You talked about how narrow they play and how many options they've got in the middle of the park. Well, it's time those options start showing up a little bit, because Aidan Morris, in particular, has been on the back foot, and we've not said Riley McGree's name in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly that. We haven't said McGree's name in quite a while, have we? And he's so influential to the way this side attacks. Hidden Hackney with a poor forward ball. McGree can't get on the end of it. De Silva now finds Onyeka. It's been a really good watch this opening half an hour. Onyeka with an outside of the boot ball down the line. Looking towards Mason Clark. He's well ushered out by Luke Ayling. And he's going to go for a Middlesbrough goal kick. As we now see Malanda. They're taking it quick, and there's a high press from Coventry. Ball down the lines, well intercepted by Van Evak, and just like that, they get back possession. Onyeka then goes down. He wins the free kick. A lot of free kicks happening in this last 5 to 10 minute period. This time won by Frank Onyeka rather than given away by the midfielder. As Matt Grimes is the man over this, ready to take it. And they're just going to buy a little bit of time to allow the likes of Bobby Thomas and Latibedia to get forwards from it. Latibedia is not the biggest of players. You can't imagine he's going to be winning a header in there. You feel like from set pieces, it might, in both boxes, be a case of Bobby Thomas versus Malanda in that sense.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, at the minute, Bobby Thomas is being marked by Callum Britton. Now he's being marked by nobody. Ball's towards him. It's headed up by Mason Clark and headed away in the end by Malanda. That wasn't convincing from Middlesbrough, it has to be said. But Coventry aren't able to make the most of it. I would be very shocked. Now, we've got just under 15 minutes to go until half-time. I would be shocked to see Tommy Conway come out for the second 45. He doesn't look anywhere near as mobile, and I just think that they're losing a lot in the forward line at Middlesbrough because they haven't got the movement of Tommy Conway.
Yeah, in the build, that was weird. I just saw a boot fly across the screen, and Luke Ayling had to carry on with just one boot on, and he made the challenge in there. And I'm not sure what made his boot fly off as Morris goes over and chucks it to him, but I noticed that in the build-up of that attack, it flew in the air as well, did the boot. I wonder if we get shown it again. Luke Ayling's having a laugh on the fly. I wonder if he's getting a little bit of a word from the Coventry fans right next to him. It wouldn't surprise me. He's now looking up, having a word with the referee. That was a slight strange moment. You feel like you see it all in the Championship, don't you, throughout the season. And Luke Ayling trying to get his boot back on. Looks like he's struggling at that task as well. But 33 minutes on the clock. Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. The man who's made the difference so far, Hadji Wright. Lovely finish through the legs of the goalkeeper. But a lot of credit had to go to Sakamoto in the build-up for that goal. As a free kick's going to go the way, actually, of Middlesbrough. Mason Clark had fouled Luke Ayling, who's having a bit of a hug with Jack Redoni as he moves away from his goalkeeper. As Burn goes long up towards, well, nobody really. That's the easiest header you'll see Bobby Thomas win all season. Then it's a header won by Britton. He finds Hackney, looks to play it in behind. It's really good pressing. Again, there's going to be a free kick this time. Oh, and Alan Brown has just lashed out at Sakamoto, and the referee wasn't looking. He was looking the other way, and it's caused a little bit of a scuffle between both sets of players, but the referee wasn't looking at the situation. We'll have to see it back again. It felt more like a push rather than anything more malicious from Alan Brown, but probably worthy of a yellow card. But like I said, the referee didn't see it.
Yeah, it's that from Alan Brown. He just sort of swings Sakamoto around there. It's no more than a push, and he knows what he's doing as Matt Donohue's turned around the other way. I don't like to give too much credit to managers when I think the players are doing a fantastic job, but you can tell which team is managed by a player who won a vast amount of trophies in his time as a player. Frank Lampard's team have really mastered this controlling of a top of the table clash. They have been by far the better side, particularly since they took the lead, and Sakamoto has now hit the deck and won a free kick. That's not great from the linesman. He's waited till the ball's dribbled out of play and then said, oh, that should be a free kick. That was always a free kick. He didn't need to wait, and that's just going to anger Middlesbrough even more. He's having a right night though, isn't he, Sakamoto, on that far side. He's running Matt Target ragged, and well, he's the star of the show for Coventry at the moment.
Looks really good, doesn't he, so far, Sakamoto, as we see this free kick ready to be taken. How many times have we said that? A free kick in this game. So many set pieces so far. This one's in a way more dangerous area. It's going to be an in-swinging delivery from Matt Grimes. He whips in, flashes it across the face goal. Tommy Conway not convincing. He almost holds a right hand out of saying, everybody be calm, but he didn't look calm in that one, and it goes behind for a Coventry corner. The Coventry fans give a standing ovation to Redoni on that far side, as we just await this to be whipped in. On the left boot of Jack Redoni, Hadji Wright's currently stood in the goal with his fellow American Aidan Morris, as we await this to be taken. There's a lot of movement at the back post from Latibodier and Onyeka. Bobby Thomas being marked by Alan Brown. That's an interesting one. As you see Redoni, the man over this, whips in towards the back post, towards Bobby Thomas. It just goes above absolutely everyone, and out for a goal kick. A bit of words between Callum Britton and Latibodier. Britton gives him a bit of a shove as well as he's running back into his position. It seems a dangerous ball, but it does evade absolutely everybody, and Middlesbrough get away with one. As you see them playing out from the back, Britton then goes long up towards McGree, who you never back to win a header against Onyeka, but it evaded both of them. Poor touch from Conway. There's Sakamoto, not only nipping in with the tackle, but finding the forward ball as well for Redoni. He then finds Thomas at 1-0 up. They don't have to take too many risks, do they, Coventry? But they seem desperate to get that second goal. Ball back to Rushworth. Could have sold him short to the run of Whittaker, but he goes long first time. Sakamoto jumps for the header, doesn't win it, but it is won by Van Evijk, who finds Grimes. Nice touch away from his man. And another free kick in this one. So another free kick given towards Coventry. Feels like they're getting so many set pieces at the moment, which maybe does just show the frustration of Borough at the moment. Things just aren't going their way. As you now see Latibodier into De Silva. Goes back to the centre half again. And now it's going to be with Rushworth, who takes a heavy touch up against Whittaker. Almost steps in, but Rushworth finds his centre half. Latibodier into Grimes, then finds Rushworth, who clears his lines. He just boots it long, probably into the hands of the opposite goalkeeper, but he's got away with one.
Yeah, he has done that, and that's where Coventry have to be careful. I think seeing it through to half-time at 1-0 is a sensible idea, but ultimately they've been so successful in this first half by keeping Middlesbrough in their own half. Don't want to all of a sudden start playing with fire and have the ball along your backline, which has been, there hasn't been the drop-off from the defence as there has been from the attack in the last few months for Coventry. The defence was never the strong point for the home side. So they'll be hoping that they can just keep the ball away from that backline and ask them to do as little defending as possible. That's a foul throw from Sakamoto. He's gotten away with that. And here come Coventry riding forward. It's Radoni.
Yeah, Radoni goes down in the area. Never a free kick or a penalty. It's very much all along the line. As we now see Brown up against Sakamoto. I mean, he's pulling his arm that whole way. That should be a free kick for Middlesbrough. They may have only got the throw-in, but it definitely seemed like he was pulling him down. There's 38 minutes on the clock. Helberg just getting a little bit frustrated, it seems, with his side, not creating anywhere near enough so far in this first half. And it was just a throw-in. Here's Malander, who's going to go all the way across to his goalkeeper. He's going to leave it for Luke Ayling to carry it forwards. Just not enough being shown going forwards for the time being. Luke Ayling finds the ball into McGree. Ball down the right side for Britton. He plays it in behind looking for Whittaker. Can he get there first? No, he can't. It's going to be Rushworth who meets it. Good goalkeeping. It was a nice bit of build-up from Middlesbrough. Just a bit too much on the pass for Britton.
Yeah, good goalkeeping though from Carl Rushworth, wasn't it? It's the benefit you've got with a goalkeeper like Rushworth, as that's poor from De Silva. But the last couple of minutes, both teams have really been reluctant to pass the ball, and it's just playing themselves into trouble. Alan Brown, a moment ago, you thought he was fouled by Sakamoto. He probably was, but he could have avoided all of it if he just released the pass. Said he was just holding on to it for far too long. That's a decent ball to the back post. Whittaker with the header. Blocked well in the end by De Silva, out of play for a corner. Much better from Burr in the last minute or so.
And that's where you want Matt Target, isn't it? Just in those advanced phases where he can win the ball, and he puts in a great ball. I think Whittaker is probably trying to head it down across the face of goal in a position where if it evades everyone, it could find the back of the net. But he sees Alan Brown in there as well. It's well blocked away, out for a corner kick. They've gone short from the corner. McGree plays a pass that's never really on. He gets fortunate to find Hackney, who does really well. He lays it off for McGree, slides it across the face of goal. It's a goal mouth scramble. There's Luke Ayling with a strike. Brilliant block from Frank Onyeka. Ayling did really well to get there on his left boot, and it's still alive for Middlesbrough. It's weak from Sakamoto, wasn't it? Because it wasn't a great ball from McGree to Hackney. It had to be said, it was great work from Hayden Hackney. Here they come down the left-hand side. It's Conway. Opens it up now. He wants a run down the left. He finds a chip ball into McGree, who gives it back to Conway on the left-hand side across the face of goal. Looking for Brown. Well defended by Latiberdia. Oh, it was Bobby Thomas stepping in. He then goes down, and the throw-in's going to have to be retaken. But Middlesbrough, in probably their best real spell of the game.
Yeah, Middlesbrough will be furious with Matt Donoghue there, and I don't blame them, because Bobby Thomas has just crawled back onto the pitch, and he didn't need to stop the play there, Matt Donoghue, but he's prevented Target from taking that throw in quickly. I've never seen a side make it more difficult for themselves than Middlesbrough. They seemingly want to make it as hard for themselves as possible, and they're doing a pretty good job at succeeding in that. But they're playing out from the back, the way they're playing, the corners short, the wanting to walk it into the back of the net. It's really, really odd. They're not doing a bad job. I just think that they could be level in this game if they made things a little bit easier for themselves, play a little bit more direct, were willing to have the ball off the ground a little bit more often. But ultimately, they're very unfortunate to not find themselves with a clear shooting opportunity from that corner. Coventry have looked a little bit unsettled in the last few moments or so. It feels like now they just need to get through to half-time. Maybe reassess, make some changes. That's terrible from Aidan Morris in midfield.
Really poor from him. He's not had a great game, has he, Aidan Morris? Every time I've seen him this season, I've been quite impressed. As that's got to be a foul from De Silva, goes straight through the back of Morgan Whittaker. Rightly so, free kick is given. Aidan Morris takes it pretty quickly to find Luke Ayling. He's going to look to switch out to the left-hand side for Target. He plays a really poor forward ball into, absolutely nobody in the end, and it's well recovered. Finds Rushworth, who's then going to boot it long in behind, which could find Mason Clark. What a touch that is. He then goes for goal on the volley. That would have been sensational from Mason Clark. What a ball in behind from Rushworth that is for Mason Clark. It wasn't great defending. Britton and Ayling nowhere to be seen. He takes the touch, keeps it in his stride, hits it on the volley at a tight angle in terms of where he was actually positioned. Simple save in the end, but that could have been a mess from Borough.
Yeah, it really could have been, but he should have passed it, Mason Clark. It's not a bad effort on goal, but in the end, the shot didn't feel like it was on. And when you have Rodoni and Haji Wright running off the side of you, you have to play that pass. He didn't, and the chance goes a begging. And with Middlesbrough in the ascendancy, you don't really want to be giving them the ball back easily. Here's Matt Targett on the far side.
Matt Targett on the attack, looks for a cutback for Conway. Maybe he just could have dummied that for McGree, but he wasn't to know. Here's Morris, very central on the edge of the box. Pays it to Britton, who's in a lot of space. Cross the face, goal, poor ball, and then he goes for goal. He rushed it completely. He says sorry straight away to his teammates because he knows that's a bit of a lapse of judgment as he slices one over the bar.
Yeah, he's better than that, Callum Britton. He's 27 years of age. He's played a lot of football, has the former Barnsley and Blackburn Rovers man. He's never been the most prolific around the penalty area. It has to be said, goals and assists-wise. That probably should have been a bit better from him, though. And in the end, it was the right that I thought to play it along the ground. It was just a pretty poor execution, telegraphed it really, and then to not have the composure to bring that ball down and instead shoot first time. I have to say, I think Kim Hellberg will be a little bit disappointed, but he'll be happy with the way his side have responded to adversity in this game. They went through that 10-minute spell, didn't they, after conceding, where Coventry were just giving away foul after foul after foul, and they were getting frustrated, but they've got themselves back into this one, and Coventry, having looked like they were pushing for a second, now are very much sitting in for a one-goal lead at half-time.
Yeah, definitely. They'll want that break, won't they? Frank Lampard's side, as we see the ball going towards De Silva. Now it's going to be with Latibeaudiere. Then finds Rushworth, who goes long, up towards Rodoni. Britton just brings it down for Morris, who could have turned into space, but in the end just uses Luke Ayling. Now it's going to be Malander. As much as there's been a lot of fouls, I can't imagine there to be too much stoppage time. Maybe just the 2 minutes or 3, as we now see Targett goes in behind looking for Brown, who's in a battle with Latibeaudiere. There's a simple header back from De Silva into Rushworth, who's got the ball just at his feet. He's going to take his time because there's nobody pressing him. He's going to kill pretty valuable seconds off the clock. I'm not really too sure what Middlesbrough are expecting at the moment, as no one's pressing him apart from Conway, who's giving a light-hearted jog across to the goalkeeper. Bounces it on the floor a couple of times as he's getting ready to boot it long. Conway's just stood with him, and Rushworth does boot it long in the end. Up towards right, Malander makes a bit of a mess of it. Targett doesn't take any risks, headed it away. Hackney's frustrated. Whittaker's just run away from the ball there. Just the 2 minutes of added time. The ball receives in the middle. That's brilliant from Hayden Hackney, who steps in. What a touch that is to get away from his man. He finds Whittaker. He's brought down. That has to be a yellow card from De Silva. He's going to get away with it from the referees. Just a free kick in the end. That was brilliant from the Borough skipper.
Yeah, it really was. He's done very, very well there, has Hayden Hackney. I think the only thing that saves Jay De Silva from a yellow card there is there are a number of blue shirts around them, but I still would be yellow carding him for that. I think he's gotten away with one, has the Welsh international, but much better from Middlesbrough. They're going to end this first half on the ascendancy. You can only imagine they're going to get better in the second 45. It's just about how Coventry respond and whether they make any changes at the interval. Does feel at the moment they're lacking that. It sounds daft to say given how narrow they're playing, but they're lacking that figure in the middle, in between the goalposts, aren't they? Whittaker and Conway both taking up the wider positions. They need somebody in the middle. It'll be Whittaker to take this free kick, though.
Hangs it up towards the back post. Brown wins his header across the first goal. Well headed away by Bobby Thomas. So that's going to go out for a throw-in. If they want to get a chance before half-time, it has to be now for Middlesbrough, you feel. As we now see a good touch from Brown. He stabs it across. He does really well to get there again, but it's cleared by Onyeka in behind. And Malander takes a poor first touch. Haji Wright is on his shoulder, but he just hooks it clear. Grimes wins his header. There's Morris who steps in. Can they create with the one more chance before half-time? They ended up pretty far back with Britton, who goes all the way across towards Malander. The referee stopped play as well. I think it's because of a bit of a head injury for Jack Rodoni. We're only 10 seconds ahead. 10 seconds away from the 2 added on, but there is the stoppage in play for the time being. I think that's just because of Aidan Morris left one in. Slightly grazes the chin of Jack Rodoni. Not a lot in it. You can see why there was nothing given in the end. Maybe it's his shoulder that gets the chin of him. As he is down at the moment, receiving some treatment. Maybe it's almost the movement of the head maybe the whiplash of it almost.
That's so frustrating though from the referee, because what he's done there is he's waited to see if Borough came forward on the attack, and if they had, he wouldn't have stopped it, which are not the rules. The rules are that you have to stop it straight away for a head injury, and instead he's blatantly waited to see what Borough were going to do with it. In the end, we're probably going to get maybe an extra 20 seconds at the end of this first half once Rodoni's received that treatment. I'm not going to say it was a really painful one for Rodoni, but it can't have been comfortable. It's a shoulder into the side of the face of the midfielder. And ultimately, you can understand why he hit the deck, but he is going to end this first half off the side of the pitch. As you'd assume, Matt Donaghue's just going to leave this ball for Callum Britton. And once Middlesbrough get playing again, that will be that for the half.
Yeah, exactly. As we see the ball with Luke Ayling, he switched it to the left. Well, maybe they will just get one more chance in this half. It's Tommy Conway. It was a great touch from him to bring it down. He turns though. Surely he knows that the referee's whistle is about to go. He then finds it back with Melander. I mean, the referee's still not blowing for half time. I mean, what are Middlesbrough doing? You'd think you'd just hook this into in and around the area. Ball with Luke Ayling. He lets it run across him. He finds Morgan Whittaker. Morgan Whittaker cuts inside, hangs it up towards the back post. Terrible delivery from him. Well, the half-time whistle has gone at the Coventry Building Society Arena. It is 1-0 going into the break thanks to a goal from Haji Wright.
Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth. And at half-time, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth. And at half-time, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth. And at half-time, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth. And at half-time, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth. And at half-time, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth. And at half-time, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Hadji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Hadji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Hadji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Hadji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Hadji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Hadji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Hadji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Hadji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Hadji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Hadji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Hadji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Hadji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Hadji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Hadji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Hadji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Hadji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Hadji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Hadji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Hadji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Hadji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth, and at half-time it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth. And at half-time, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth. And at half-time, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth. And at half-time, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first 45 it's been between these two. Currently the difference is a goal from Haji Wright after 20 minutes. Lovely skill from Sakamoto over on the far side to skip away from a couple before feeding Jack Rodoni, who swung a brilliant ball into Haji Wright, who got goal side of Luke Ayling and tapped past Solomon Byrne brilliantly. He hit the post inside the opening 5 minutes to the American international. Middlesbrough have looked decent in spells, but haven't really tested Carl Rushworth. And at half-time, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. Half-time in the Championship, it's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0 in this top-of-the-table clash. What a first... That's very well. Welcome back to this independent off-tube studio-based commentary of this top-of-the-table championship fixture at the Coventry Building Society Arena between Coventry City and Middlesbrough. The two sides went in at half-time with Coventry leading by a goal to nil thanks to a Haji Wright tap-in inside the 6-yard box. But it doesn't tell the full story of that first half, and it's been a thrilling game so far. It's myself, Luke Ashurst, alongside me is Kieran Graham to take you through all of the action. And straight away, looking for a response after this half-time interval. And Morgan Whittaker with an early header over the crossbar sees Kim Hellberg's side on the front foot straight away. Well, I was going to ask you, Kieran, what do we need to see from Middlesbrough for them to get back into this game? Well, it's more of that, isn't it? It's direct football and getting the ball into the danger areas where the likes of Morgan Whittaker and Tommy Conway, who have been so lethal in recent weeks, can look to try and challenge Carl Rushworth.
Yeah, and Morgan Whittaker should probably do better with the header, but it's Riley McGree that made it happen, and we've not seen anywhere near enough of him in the first half, so that's a real avenue to get back into this. Get Riley McGree involved in this game, because just seeing what he did there, it was a lovely play from him, a lovely ball hung up for the header of Whittaker. Unfortunately for him, he directs his header over the bar, but we now just see the ball go in behind, as it's come off for Haji Wright and out for a throw-in.
We were fantastic in the first half. Last Monday were Middlesbrough against Sheffield United with 8 shots on target. None in the first half for them this evening, but straight away they're looking more dangerous in the second half than they did at times in that first half. There have been no changes made at half-time, so as we were from the end of that first half, I'll run you through the lineups in a moment or so, but here comes Callum Britton for the visitors down the far side, driving down the Borough right. We'll move it inside to Hayden Hackney, who was so influential for Kim Hellberg's side in that first half. He'll just lay it off now to Aidan Morris, one of 2 players who were yellow carded in that first half, along with debutant Frank Onyeka, who had an interesting first half, shall we say, an interesting first half in Coventry Sky Blue. As here's Morris once more. Decent ball down the line for Conway, who I'm a little bit shocked to see come out for the second half, given he went down with that hamstring/groin injury in the first 45. But he looks as though he's going to be okay to carry on in this second half. And he's trying to get involved now as Ayling has the ball, moves on to the near side for Target. He's then been fouled by Sakamoto. Has he been fouled? I think the referee has indeed given a free kick. He didn't give it initially. Then I think saw that Matt Target's been injured and has decided that warrants giving a free kick. It will give me a chance to run you through the lineups though. For Coventry, it's Rushworth in goal. Back four of De Silva, Latapedere, Thomas and Van Eyck. Midfield 2 of Grimes and Onyeka, with Mason Clark, Rodoni and Sakamoto supporting Haji Wright up top. As for Middlesbrough, it's Burning goal. Back for Britain, Ayling, Malander and Target. Midfield for Brown, Morris, Hackney and McGree, with Whitaker and Conway making up the front two. Sakamoto's been yellow carded for this challenge on Matt Target, which I think is incredibly harsh because he slips as he goes to put the challenge in. He actually also wins the ball, and the referee didn't give it as a free kick to begin with. So how on earth he's ended up with a yellow card? I've got no idea.
Yeah, I think maybe the referee doesn't know that he's slipped and thinks that he's just gone in a little bit aggressive, and the follow through, should I say, warrants a yellow card. I think he's a little bit harsh. We saw a couple of challenges in the first half, didn't we? So maybe he's just trying to set the marker down for this half so it doesn't carry on the way it did in the final 20 minutes. But as I said, McGree claiming he was fouled, nothing given. Whitaker on the attack, but he loses out. Yeah, he does. Good defending there from Efron Mason-Clark. And Coventry can get it clear down the far side. A reminder, there is an FA Cup tie being played at the moment. Coventry for that game also available on this service. So as things stand currently, it's Macclesfield 0, Brentford 1. An own goal about 5 or 10 minutes ago is currently the difference between the two sides. An own goal from Heathcote. There's about 10 minutes to go of normal time in that one, plus stoppages. As I said, that is also available on this service. But just under 5 minutes gone in this second half. It is independent off Tube Studio, but it's Coventry. It's Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 0. But it is Middlesbrough who have started. Don't necessarily want to say the better of the two sides, but certainly the more front-footed of the two sides. And they're trying to move it forward through midfield now as Matt Grimes just about gets back to his feet after a tough challenge from Ryan McGree over on the far side. Here now is Callum Britton, one-on-one with Efron Mason-Clark, wanting to create the space, just run straight into the Coventry number 10 and wins a throw-in over on the right-hand side. Matt Grimes still hobbling around. He protests with Matt Donoghue, but the referee is still not going to pull it back for a free kick as Mason-Clark has just gone through the back there of Aidan Morris. In fact, it was Hayden Hackney he fouled. Another free kick given away. As we're going to see a replay of this challenge on Matt Grimes. Does he have a reason to be annoyed with the referee? Yes, absolutely he does. And to be honest with you, he's got to be careful, Aidan Morris. He's on a yellow card already. On another day, he's given a second yellow for that. In fact, I would argue he should have been given a second yellow. Yeah, he should have been. He's lucky there, Morris. And once again, it's for a fall through, a little bit similar to what we saw from Sakamoto, but this one a lot more reckless. And Matt Grimes, thankfully, he's okay to continue. And see this free kick whipped in towards the back of the area. Such a waste for Middlesbrough. Goes over the head of Malander and out for a Coventry throw-in right next to the corner flag. Both teams have been poor from set pieces so far in this one, which is a little bit surprising given the quality they've got on the pitch from dead ball deliveries. Matt Grimes is still having a word with Matt Donoghue about that challenge. I'm not suggesting it was a red and therefore VAR wouldn't have made an impact if it was available in the Championship, but certainly, in my opinion, would have warranted another yellow card for Aidan Morris, who had a pretty disappointing first 45, it has to be said. Van Ewijk, though, will launch his throw-in down the line, headed up into the air by Target. Then Matt Grimes is beaten to it in the air by Alan Brown. It's hooked into the sky by Bobby Thomas and brought down beautifully by Malander, who's almost tackled by his own player there in Hayden Hackney. Well, Malander does well eventually to find Callum Britton over on the far side. Britton will then play a decent ball down the line. Brown ball in towards the near post. It's into the hands of Carl Rushworth as Whitaker couldn't get goal side of the shot stopper. And straight away, Coventry are back on the attack as Sakamoto tries to drive his side forward down the near side. He's challenged well not once but twice in the midfield by Coventry before Whitaker then fouls Grimes. Referee waves play on as Coventry still have possession. Latibedaria will go back to Rushworth, who will launch the ball high into the sky once more, looking towards Mason-Clark. Unconvincing clearance from Ayling, sees the ball put back towards the danger area by Onyeka. Eventually, though, it's dealt with by Britain, and Morris has now got a bit of time to get the ball down and slow things down. It's not as frantic as the opening 10 minutes of the first half, but it's certainly not as, I guess, controlled as that last 10 minutes of the first half was. And it feels at the minute that if Middlesbrough do not punish Coventry for maybe a bit of a slow start to this second 45, sooner rather than later, Coventry will kick into gear and will kill this game off. Yeah, it's weird. I see another goal in this game for both sides. Yeah. I really do. It's still got that end-to-end feel, a bit of a chaotic feel, a lot of fouls going in, you think set pieces. How's that not a free kick for Middlesbrough either? It's been a weird start to this half as Morris recovers it. I've been quite impressed with Middlesbrough in this opening 7 minutes. So easy away from home against your direct rivals this season to just go into your shell. They don't look really rattled at all. They're still trying to play their same style all football. You think as the subs maybe start to flow in, maybe 10, 15 minutes as well, that could give Middlesbrough an edge, but just need to start creating chances.
Yeah, just they are lacking that cutting edge, aren't they, in the final third, which is not something we've been able to say about Middlesbrough in the last few games. They've scored over 2 goals in 6 of the last 7 in all competitions. Before tonight, they've been first to score in 6 of the last 7, and they will certainly back themselves to get themselves an equaliser in this one. But they need to start testing Carl Rushworth sooner rather than later. Here's Aidan Morris now for the visitors, linking up well with Alan Brown. Here's Malander now, ball onto the near side for Target. He tries to play it into Hackney, lets the ball run, shouldn't have done that, and Coventry can get it cleared. Brilliant defending though from Luke Ayling to put the ball out of the sky and get the ball away from Haji Wright. If he missed that, Middlesbrough in all sorts of trouble as Malander plays the ball onto the near side for Target. Target lays it off to Hackney. Hackney fancies a run at Onyeka, and he's away from Onyeka. Conway trying to return the ball back to Hackney. Can't do so, but still Middlesbrough come forward. Here it is. Hackney inside the penalty area. Tame effort, and it's easily saved in the end by Rushworth. But the first shot on target for Middlesbrough, it's probably not come the way they would have liked, given the space over on the far side for Morgan Whittaker. But it's a shot on target nonetheless, and they worked the opportunity well.
Yeah, and he could be much better. I'll break off because Haji Wright is in behind, and just like that, as we're looking at replays of Hackney's strike, the ball goes in behind Haji Wright. What a finish on his left foot. How that has happened, we will never know. It must have just been from a long ball because we were too busy being shown replays of a chance for Hayden Hackney. Just like that, the cameras pan over. Haji Wright's one-on-one. It's a lovely finish into the far corner. It's Coventry 2. Middlesbrough nil out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, the inquest has already started amongst the Middlesbrough backline as to how that goal's been allowed to happen. It's one long ball over the top from Carl Rushworth that's missed in the air by Luke Ayling, having done so well a moment ago. Straight away, he says to Solomon Byrne, you've got to be coming off your line. It's one of those where, yeah, maybe the goalkeeper probably shouldn't be backpedaling, but also Luke Ayling has to do a lot better. Take nothing away, though, from the finish from Haji Wright. It's absolutely lethal from the American on his weaker left boot. Brilliant effort from the number 11 for Coventry, and it's a fantastic second goal. The camera straight away panned to Hayden Hackney, who really should have fed Morgan Whittaker over on the far side. He didn't. He allowed the ball to fall to the feet of Carl Rushworth with that tame effort on goal. Launched the ball over the top to Haji Wright, and I said, didn't I, Middlesbrough had to make the pressure pay. They had to get an equaliser in this one because Coventry were hanging around. They looked dangerous with balls over the top, and that's exactly what's happened. They've punished Middlesbrough brilliantly, and now you feel like this is a mountain to climb for the away side.
Yeah, you really do. I don't know really why Luke Ayling's blaming his goalkeeper for that one. That's awful refereeing. I mean, that is so bad from the referee. He's just got in Hackney's way, and that was a real counter-attacking opportunity. But I don't really know why Ayling's blaming the goalkeeper, because the defending is absolutely atrocious. For starters, he's let the ball bounce, and then he just bounces off Haji Wright. It's so easy to muscle him in that scenario. He's nowhere near putting a challenge in. Why would the goalkeeper ever come for something like that? I don't really know what Luke Ayling is going on about with that one, but Middlesbrough looking for an instant response. De Silva does just enough, and Thomas clears it out for a throw-in. Well, Middlesbrough, they need a quick response.
Yeah, they certainly do. They could get one. Coventry do look nervous defensively, but the fact that they've only had the one shot on target so far, and it was a tame one that ended up leading to a Coventry goal, you'd worry a little bit for the away side. Ayling's been done for pace and agility by Haji Wright. He's also skipped away from Britain. Good from Haji Wright, but even better from Hayden Hackney. Takes the ball off the American, and here come Middlesbrough on the attack. It's Brown, links up well with Whittaker. Whittaker trying to feed Hackney, can't do so. He's challenged well, but he wins the ball back nicely. Does the former Plymouth Argyle man. His target now, just on the edge of the centre circle. Swings the ball in, looking towards Whittaker. Poor header, finds his way to McGree. McGree feeds Brown. Brown skips away from Thomas, inside the penalty, looking back towards McGree. Intercepted well from Onyeka, who should just clear for Coventry, and instead he wins a free kick off of Riley McGree. McGree not happy, but good defending in the end from the Nigerian. And, well, Middlesbrough, the frustration is starting to boil over just that little bit.
Yeah, it is, and you can tell it's frustration, because why on earth would McGree even foul him in that position? The cameras linger on the Borough goalkeeper. We're watching it back now. Where that ball's bounced, why would the goalkeeper ever come for that? I don't really know what Luke Ayling's doing in that scenario. He's not a centre-half. I don't know why he's playing centre-half. Luke Ayling's raging with his goalkeeper, as we've just seen different replays of it just staring at him. I mean, what? I don't know about you, look. I don't see how he can blame the keeper.
What I would say is I think as soon as that ball bounces and Ayling doesn't get there, I think the goalkeeper has to commit to a position. But what ends up happening is the ball bounces another 2 occasions before then Byrne gets himself settled, and at that point it's too late. I don't think the goalkeeper is entirely to blame. I don't think Ayling's entirely to blame. I just think it's a mess of a situation, to be honest. Either way, Kim Hellberg's seen enough. He's made a double change now. On comes on Jeremy Sarmiento, and it was David Strelec as well. Morgan Whittaker has gone off, as has Alan Brown. I think Alan Brown coming off is a sensible decision. I wouldn't have taken off Morgan Whittaker. Morgan Whittaker's got plenty to offer. I'd have had Tommy Conway off. I'd have had him off at half-time, to be brutally honest. But Hellberg, he's the first to roll the dice, and he needed to be the first to roll the dice this evening.
Yeah, he really did. Let's see what Sarmiento and Strelec can bring to this game. Sarmiento's had so many low moves, hasn't he, in the Championship. Let's see if this can be one that he really makes his mark. He had a couple of big goals for Ipswich in their promotion season, but just hasn't really found a home, has he, as of late, Sarmiento? So like I said, let's see if he can make a much needed impact in this one, as we see Middlesbrough in possession.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, there's an obligation to buy for Middlesbrough come the end of the season, but I think there's some conditions that have to be met before they're forced to buy Jeremy Sarmiento. I think he's a really talented footballer, and it's not worth forgetting as well. He's certainly not old by any stretch of the imagination. He's still only 23 years of age, the Ecuadorian, as that's good play down the far side. Britton, ball to the box, looking towards Strelec. Intercepted well in the end by Jay De Silva. He's defended well so far this evening. Good bit of play, though, from Middlesbrough to open up the space on their right-hand side. As here they come once again. Sarmiento, edge of the penalty area, lays it off to Morris. Morris now with Britton. Down the line for Hackney. To Britton once more. Here's McGree. Hackney once again looking towards Britton. And now the frustration is really boiling over, particularly for Hayden Hackney. It feels on a couple of occasions now passes have been poor ones, and players haven't made the right runs, as that's poor in the midfield there from Ayling and McGree. And here comes Radoni down the left-hand side, looking to make it 3. Radoni ball into the box. It's cleared away well by Malander, and out of play for a throw-in over on the far side. This is the problem Middlesbrough have got, that they feel hard done by. They feel like things haven't gone their way this evening, and the heads are starting to go a little bit. Players just have to crack on. When something doesn't go your way, you have to keep playing, and you have to do the basics. And at the minute, Ayling, who's one of the most experienced players in this Middlesbrough squad, is finding himself in worse and worse positions every time the ball comes over the top, because he's just getting frustrated and losing his head.
He is, and that was a missed opportunity to really kill this game off as well for Coventry. I thought Radoni, when he picks it up, he takes a few touches. I thought he could have put a ball in towards that near post. Hadji Wright made a clever run across his defender. He just took extra touches, which slowed it down, meant that everyone was at a standstill in the area. Wouldn't have really suited Hadji Wright for that ball to go in, but Middlesbrough just looking a little bit, I don't know the word you could use, a bit scattered at the moment. They're a bit all over the place with no real structure, because they know they're desperate to find a goal. That's nice from Sarmiento.
Yeah, lovely skill from Sarmiento. He's passed one, almost past 2. Grimes, though, with a brilliant last-ditch challenge to take the ball away from the Brighton low knee and get the ball cleared long. Deep into stoppage time in the FA Cup. Macclesfield 1-0 down against Brentford. Time is running out for the National League North side to get themselves back level in that one if they can. How dramatic will that be to take the Bees to extra time? But at the moment in our game, it is still Coventry 2, Middlesbrough 0. Lovely flick there from Sarmiento to feed Strelec. Here is David Strelec, edge of the penalty area. Can't quite get the shot off, but still keeps hold of the ball. McGree now lays it off to Target. Target, edge of the penalty area for Morris. Morris looking to try and get away from Matt Grimes. Will link up with Matt Target once again. Here's Riley McGree, 20 yards away from goal. Feeds Target, edge of the penalty area. Corner of the penalty area, I should say. Morris now to Hackney. Back to Morris. Held up well by Jack Radoni. He's doing good defensive work this evening. Now it's with Callum Britton, who's took narrow to try and link up the play. Hackney, great ball down the line. Target, chip ball in. Is headed away well by Bobby Thomas, who's looked a little bit nervous at times this evening on his return to the starting lineup. But that was a good bit of defending, and Radoni's picked up the loose ball. Radoni wants to move down the near side, but he's been challenged well in the end by Callum Britton, and it's out of play for a Coventry throw, and I should say, over on the right-hand side. The camera just lingers on Bobby Thomas, who was linked with a number of moves away in January to a Premier League side. along with his centre-back partner Liam Kitching, who's on the bench this evening. I think Coventry did well to hold on to Bobby Thomas. I think the downturn in form probably helped them a little bit, and I actually think it's a good thing for Bobby Thomas just to stick with Coventry for the rest of the season, as Luke Ayling, poor in midfield, gives the ball away. Sakamoto now driving forward, Ayling out of position. Sakamoto, edge of the penalty area, right for the hat-trick, wide of the post. Really poor from Luke Ayling, who is really struggling in the last 10 minutes. And in the end, Haji Wright on his weaker left boot couldn't make it 3. Sakamoto again, brilliant driving forward. Wright probably should have played it on one more to Mason Clark, but on the hat-trick, you don't blame him for taking the effort. But Middlesbrough have to calm things down if they're going to get back into this one.
It's a really poor effort in the end from Haji Wright. Maybe he could have taken an extra touch onto his right foot in the end, but that's just if buts and maybes. You see Middlesbrough straight back on the counter-attack, but this has turned into a really end-to-end open game of football. Morris dancing his way into the penalty area. Strike from goal! What a hit! It's off the post from Morris. What a hit that would have been. It was Sarmiento with the strike. That would have been an absolute beauty off the inside of the post. So unlucky not to have the goal to his name. Seeing it back again. Great work from Morris. Finds Sarmiento first time. That is so unlucky. Still 2-0.
Yeah, fantastic effort from Jeremy Sarmiento, who's within inches of pulling one back for Middlesbrough there. He's been a bright spark since coming off the bench, hasn't he? The Ecuadorian international. And you feel if anybody at the moment is going to drag Middlesbrough back into this game, it's him. Throw in for targets on the near side. We'll play it to Sarmiento. His pass back towards the Newcastle United loanee is a poor one. It will be gathered by Byrne of all players just inside his own half. He's going to launch it long first time with his right boot. It's not a bad ball looking back towards target. He's goal side of Sakamoto. Feeds McGree 20 yards away from goal. Edge of the penalty now is Hackney with the effort. It was always moving away. Always moving away from the far post, and it's out of play for a goal kick. Middlesbrough, though, on the ascendancy with 65 minutes on the clock. Independent off Tube Studio-based commentary. It's Coventry 2, Middlesbrough 0, but it's certainly Middlesbrough looking the better of the two sides at the moment. It's finished in Macclesfield. Brentford have beaten the National League North side by a goal to 0, thanks to an own goal from Sam Heathcote. A really disappointing end to a fantastic cup run for Macclesfield, but they can hold their heads high after what has been a historic run in England's cup competition for the non-league team. As the main focus now in English football remains on this championship top of the table clash. As things stand, Coventry will move back to the top of the table by a point after Middlesbrough leapfrogged them for the first time since October after victory at Bramall Lane against Sheffield United. Coventry only drew with relegation threatened Oxford United, but at the minute they're heading towards all 3 points this evening, their first in 3 games, as that's a poor pass on the far side from Callum Britton, who himself is struggling on the ball a little bit, but he's done brilliantly well to win the ball off of Mason Clark. Appeals them for a handball against Jack Rodoni. Nothing given by referee Matt Donoghue. Loose touch there from Latabadere. Sees a chance coming from Conway. Sarmiento trying to move the ball forward. He has the ball pinched off him by Jay De Silva. Long ball sent forward by Rodoni, looking towards Haji Wright. This time the header won by Melander, as Josh Eccles is ready to come on the far side of Coventry. You'd assume that's for Jack Rodoni, but we'll have to wait and see who it is when he is ready to come on. At the minute, though, it is Middlesbrough with the ball in possession with Aidan Morris. On to the right-hand side now for Britton. Britton, decent ball forward to Strelec. Strelec looking towards McGree. Poor pass, but a loose touch along in midfield there from Latabadere. Sees McGree with the ball back. Here's Morris once more. Lays it off to Target. Target into the midfield for Hayden Hackney. Hackney, decent ball down the line, finds Britton. Britton, ball to the box, a good one. Straight towards goal, it's blocked, but McGree's there! And there's the goal back! And it's Riley McGree with the goal! And it's a brilliant effort from the Australian. Excellent from Middlesbrough. And that's the goal they needed. They've looked better in the last 5 minutes. And that's the goal they needed. That's the goal they deserved. It's Coventry 2, Middlesbrough 1.
They've deserved to find a way back in this one. It was a bit of a freak second goal they conceded, and Helberg side, they just don't know how to give up, do they? It's a decent ball in. Morris, it was well blocked by Latabellia. What a finish that is from Riley McGree. It sits up on the half volley on his right foot. He launches it into the roof of the net from a little bit of distance as well. It is an unbelievable finish. He wrong foots Carl Rushworth, who was desperate diving across. You can tell how this game's going to go now, can't you? You think it's going to be back to the walls type of stuff. Eccles and Romain Essa are still going to come on for Coventry. Middlesbrough side, they're well and truly in this one. The tails are up. We're in the 68th minute of this one. This is going to be a grandstand final quarter.
Yeah, it certainly is. They've been dropping deeper and deeper, though, of Coventry, so it's unsurprising to see these changes. Eccles a little bit more combative compared to Jack Rodoni, so you can understand why he comes onto the field of play. And Romain Esse a little bit more sensible in possession compared to Efron Mason-Clark. So a sensible double change from Frank Lampard, but all of a sudden the pressure is back on his side. A reminder, this game does finish as a draw. It will see Middlesbrough maintain their 2-point gap at the top of the table. If Middlesbrough win, which at the minute seems quite unlikely, but you never know in the Championship, they will open up a 5-point gap to Coventry at the top of the table. If Coventry win, as I mentioned, they will go 1 point clear. Eccles, brilliant first action inside the penalty area, has done brilliantly well. And the penalty's given! Out of nowhere, Matt Donohue's given a penalty. Eccles did brilliantly to win the ball inside the penalty area. The attempted cross to Haji Wright was blocked by Matt Target. It seemed pretty innocuous. Target's not complaining a huge amount, but what an absolute disaster for Middlesbrough. As soon as they get themselves back into the game, they give away a penalty, and it is a stonewall penalty as well.
What is Matt Target doing? I mean, he's off balance from the initial trying to put the challenge in. That is just lazy defending from Matt Target. He just leaves his arm out so far out. Clear handball. I mean, that couldn't have gone any worse, could it?
No.
Only had the goal back for a minute or so, and now an instant chance to get the 2-goal lead once again. Luke Ayling's trying to put off a couple of players. He's pushing and shoving. He's going to get booked for it as well, is Luke Ayling. Well, Burn has an opportunity to keep Middlesbrough in this game. Haji Wright has an opportunity to be a true hero and get a hat-trick.
Yeah, he certainly does. What an evening it's been for Haji Wright so far tonight. What an absolute disaster it's been for Matt Target and Middlesbrough. As Kieran's just mentioned, Luke Ayling has gone into the book. And, huge moment in the Championship title race. It's Haji Wright up against Solomon Byrne. He's already got 2 this evening, Haji Wright. Can he complete the hat-trick? The American takes 2 big, deep breaths. Coventry fans cover their faces. They can't see. A third would probably kill this game off. Haji Wright arcs his run-up. It'll be a right-footed penalty. Byrne dancing around on the line. It's into the back of the net. Haji Wright with the hat-trick. Brilliant penalty. Byrne goes the right way, dives to his right, but it's too far into the bottom corner. It's Coventry 3, Middlesbrough 1.
And Haji Wright has turned into the man, hasn't he, tonight for Coventry? A hat-trick for him in the biggest of games. You could argue the biggest game of the season. You win this by this margin, it could really help them kick on just for the final stretch to get to the Premier League. This would be a massive victory. What a response from Coventry. It would be so easy to let your heads drop and just capitulate after conceding a goal like that. But there's the response. There's Haji Wright, calm and composed. Went the right way. Did the goalkeeper just couldn't get any touch on it. It's a great penalty into the far side, netted. 3-1 to Frank Lampard's side.
There's not a goalkeeper in the world that gets anywhere near that. It's a phenomenal penalty from Haji Wright, and Frank Lampard rightly celebrates it. What a phenomenal performance it's been from his side this evening. This is a title-winning performance from Coventry. We are into the final quarter of this one. It's been an absolute thriller so far in the Championship. Even at 3-1, I'm not entirely sure this game is done and dusted. To find out whether it is, I'm going to hand it over to Kieran to take us through to full time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lucas. See a ball in behind. That's got to be a yellow card for Matt Grimes, who takes his man down, and he's going to get booked in the end. It was a poor challenge on Sterilech, as we just see it back once again. Just got in behind. Nice little roll of the shoulder. In the end, clips him. Can't really have too many complaints. Well, can Middlesbrough have an answer again to try and get back in this one? A 4th yellow card of the season for the Coventry skipper, who is limping back into position. As we can see the Coventry fans dancing away, but they know the job isn't done as of yet, as the Middlesbrough fans don't look as happy as expected. See Hayden Hackney, the man over this free kick. It's going to be an outswinging delivery in towards the penalty area. Hayden Hackney whips in towards the front post. A couple of flicks in there. Luke Ayling tries to keep it alive, but it's cleared. Callum Britton hooks it high back into the air. Luke Ayling jumps for it. It falls then to Matt Target. He hooks it into the penalty area but it's well cleared by De Silva, only as far as Britton, who's all the way back, giving it back to his goalkeeper. The former Blackburn fullback picks it back up again, and Middlesbrough will regain control. Here's Malander in possession, just turns away from his man, finds target, right foot ball into Hackney. He took a risk with his touch, but it's a good touch from him. He's had a decent game, his Hayden Hackney, whereas you can't really say the same about his teammates. A bit of a silly flick from McGree at 3-1 down. It's not the thing to be doing. It got caught out, but they've got the ball back once again. Coventry just starting to look a little bit sloppy. Ball down the line looking for Strelec, who looked like he couldn't have got there. He's done absolutely brilliantly to get there, and he's done so well to win the throw-in.
Yeah, he's a good player, David Strelec. He's a little bit unfortunate that Tommy Conway and Morgan Whitaker have been so good over recent weeks, because every time I see him, he always looks a dangerous player. He's not got a bad goal-scoring record either this season. He's got 4 goals in only 4 goals in just over 1,000 minutes in all competitions for Middlesbrough. There's another change being made now by Coventry. Off goes Frank Onyeka. This is a sensible change, I think it's fair to say. He's had a good debut as a Nigerian. He's done well to keep himself out of trouble after picking up that relatively early yellow card. And this is not a bad replacement, is it? Victor Thorpe, who's been arguably the best player in the Championship this season. On he comes to replace Onyeka. That's the quality that Coventry have got at their disposal.
Yeah, exactly. And Thorpe will be looking to make his mark in this one as well. As we see target now, he whips it towards the back post. Hesed doesn't win his header. Good touch from Sarmiento. Flash it across the face of goal. Poor cross from him. Doesn't get any form of touch off a Coventry man. Flashes out for a goal kick. 74.5 minutes on the clock. It's 3-1 to Coventry. What's been a great game between these two Championship heavy hitters. As much as they've been the better sides in the Championship, I do think the quality at the top has been a little bit less than what we've seen in recent years. But nevertheless, they won't care as long as they are sides that get to the Premier League. As you see the goal kick ready to be taken now. It's going to go all the way along up towards Haji Wright. Luke Ayling wins his header, but it's only as far as Eccles. Hackney steps in. It's a good challenge from him, and then Malander can carry it forwards. He finds target. He's got a ball down the line if he wants it. Doesn't use it. He's going to look forwards into the path of Conway, who takes it down. Morris goes to the left-hand side. It was more on to the right. McGree only just keeps it alive. It's almost over the head of Thomas. That was a poor ball from Morris. It really was. Poor choice as well of pass. Malander looks to turn away from Haji Wright. He loses out. It's terrible from Malander. And here's Sakamoto. He finds Matt Grimes coming forwards. Good step in from Tommy Conway. He's been busy in all the positions, apart from the ones that you'd really like him to be as an actual striker. With the number 9 on his back, and see Romain Essa down the left-hand side, looking to get the better of Britain. He does so well to win the corner.
Yeah, really good from Romain Essa. That's why he was brought on, to give Callum Britton a bit of a runaround and make things difficult. There is still time left in this for Middlesbrough, but it's decision-making like that one to move the ball to the near side from Aidan Morris, which feels at the moment like it's going to cost them. Just as well, again, I know it's a big part of the way that Kim Hellberg and Middlesbrough play, but in a game like this, you need a focal point through the middle. They haven't had that all evening. David Strelec's been asked to basically play as a winger. They really could have done with that man in the middle, and they haven't had it. Coventry have a man in the middle, and Haji Wright, and he's got 3 goals.
Yeah, just seeing an in-swinging delivery. Whipped in, right on the goalkeeper. There's a flick on it. It's not convincing at the back. It's a scramble. And then a free kick given away by Latibodia, but not convincing from Burrow at the back at all. Burn seemed a little bit lost going for the punch. It was a swing and a miss from him, as we see Luke Ayling. He plays a terrible pass intercepted by Sakamoto. He looked like he was going to hit it from distance. He should have done. Top goes down, nothing given. Sakamoto just a little bit too selfless. And here comes Borough on the attack, and Conway turns away. Didn't have a lot going for him ahead, but maybe could have kept driving with it. He finds Morris on the right-hand side, and he's got Britton for company. Uses Britton. Thought about the first time ball, didn't use it. Goes back towards Morris again, who's got McGree ahead of him, but he goes back for Malander. Need a goal in this next 10 minutes, you feel. 77 minutes on the clock in this one. It's still 3-1. Hackney cuts inside. He finds a ball into Morris, who's got options to the right for McGree, if he can use him. Britton back to Morris again. Ayling's pretty advanced as he picks it up. He looks for a ball in behind. Decent ball as well. And Strellick with a strike at goal. It's straight at the goalkeeper. Simple save for Rush with a half chance for Borough.
I'd be honest with you, I think it's more than a half chance. I think it's an excellent chance for David Strellick. He works it brilliantly well with a bit of skill to get away from Latapedera. He's got to go across goal though. He goes to the near post and it's a comfortable save for a goalkeeper of the quality of Carl Rushworth. But it's good play initially to open up the space and create the chance. It's better from Middlesbrough. It just feels like this evening is not going to be their night. You felt that was the case when Jeremy Sarmiento struck the post, and perfectly summed up by the fact that they get themselves back into it at 2-1, and then you can see the ridiculous penalty from Matt Targett and almost blow yourself out of the game. But they're still coming forward now. Here's Aidan Morris.
Yeah, as we see a lovely run. It was Hackney driving into the penalty area. He finds McGree. Now it's going to be with Sarmiento, who checks onto his left foot. Nice touches from him. He goes down. That should be a free kick.
No.
Donahue doesn't give it. Here come Coventry on the counter, and they could kill this game off. Van Everijk on the attack. How is that not a free kick for Sarmiento? Van Everijk, lovely touch away from Matt Targett, who's been really poor this second half. Good covering from McGree. He then goes down. It's a clear free kick, but Borough should have had a free kick right on the edge of the box at the other end.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I mean, Sarmiento's not really complaining, but I think that's more down to the fact he needed to get back to defend the counter-attack. It looked for all the world that was a free kick, and they're really unfortunate, Middlesbrough, because with somebody like Hayden Hackney on the pitch, you feel like a free kick in that position would have been a really great opportunity. More changes being readied by both managers over on the far side. I think Ellis Sims is ready to come on for Coventry, and also as well Genoa Makello as well, the number 24, just trying to work out who it is that's ready to come on for Middlesbrough. It might be Kali Sene, but we'll have to wait and see. Either way, changes afoot for both sides.
Yeah, changes getting ready now for either side, as we now see the ball with Esser. He's up against Hackney, gives him a little shove. He runs into trouble. He's claiming he was fouled. He kicks the ball away slightly. And like I said, it looks like these changes are going to be made. And Sene is getting ready to come on. He's going to come on for Tommy Conway. It felt like that was a change that was coming, wasn't it? Tommy Conway struggled to make his impact. He looked dangerous, didn't he, in the opening 10-15 minutes, but he never really kicked on. As Kali Sene is onto the pitch for him. Yeah,
he should have gone off when he at half time, to be honest with you. He's not the same player since that hamstring or groin injury or whatever it is. That probably should have been the end of his evening, to be brutally honest. Strellick should have come on earlier, or Sarmiento should have come on earlier, give them a bit more time to have a go at this Coventry backline. And on comes Mamadou Kali Sene, who will put himself about. Whether he offers a huge amount, it's yet to be seen. It's an attacking change from Kim Hellberg, which is all you can really do as a manager in this position. As it does look as though that it is going to be Genoa Marcello that comes on for Coventry for his debut. €5 million he signed for from FC Zurich in Switzerland. In his last two games for Zurich, he was sent off and got an assist, and then was yellow carded and got an assist before this €5 million transfer to Coventry. That is a lot of money for a forward in the Championship. Ellis Sims is also going to come on as well. He comes on to replace Haji Wright. You'd imagine that's going to be a like-for-like change. And I'd assume it's going to be Sakamoto who comes off, given he's on a yellow card and how hard he's worked, because Marcello is more of a right winger. But we're just seeing replays of Haji Wright's hat-trick. The first goal is brilliant movement, brilliant strength to get the goal side of Ailing. The second is a fantastic finish, and he shows great endeavour to get goal side of the defender. And then the penalty is one of the best you're likely to see.
Well, we were chatting about Haji Wright before we went live on air, myself and Luke, and I said I'm still not sold on him. Well, he's shut me up tonight, hasn't he, with a hat-trick, a really good moment, and a good game for him in a massive game as well. Let's see what Marcello is about. He's gone onto the left-hand side in the left wing, and Romain Esser to the right. Ball whipped in, header from McGree. Goes miles wide in the end. That finish maybe kind of just sums it up so far, and Sakamoto making way I think he's probably quite unfortunate one of his teammates has scored a hat-trick, isn't he? Because he's probably been the best player on the pitch.
Yeah, quite possibly, to be honest. I think there's a number that you could probably look towards in terms of man of the match. Unfortunately, he's going to be on the losing side, but Hayden Hackney would be up there for me. He really would. I think he's been fantastic, but ultimately it is going to go to Haji Wright for the hat-trick. I actually thought as well, maybe not up there for man of the match, but I've actually thought Jack Rodoni's been back to his best tonight. I thought he's been fantastic. So there's a number that you could pick from, but I think it will rightly go to Haji Wright, and ultimately it's his 3 goals that are going to win his side the game tonight.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, Hayden Hackney, over the last couple of days, some news come out. Premier League clubs interested in him in the summer. I think no matter what happens with Middlesbrough this season, Hayden Hackney is going to be a Premier League footballer. There's no real doubt.
He was linked with Fulham in the summer, wasn't he? And that move never materialised. I think the Cottagers went in for him a little bit too late. And in the end, they opted for Kevin, which I think it's fair to say that signing's worked out pretty well in the end, hasn't it? But yeah, no, I think Middlesbrough is still in a really good position to go up this season. I've been more convinced with them over recent weeks than Coventry. Breakoffs, that's a great ball to Matt. Oh dear, great ball over to Matt Target on the near side, and I have to say it's not the worst idea trying to play that ball first time. It's executed poorly, but Cali Sene is never onside. He's never looking for that ball. He's barely touched it since he's come on. It's been great from Coventry, but maybe slightly concerning from Middlesbrough. You'd like to hope this is just a one-off, but I know there have been some frailties in the side today, which I don't know if they're going to be able to overcome.
Yeah, exactly. It's just been a little bit too much. Here's this one for Middlesbrough to deal with. Britton goes into the middle for Sarmiento. Well, they've got a couple of big home fixtures coming up after this, which are going to be vital for them against Oxford and Leicester. 2 sides well and truly down there battling for survival, really. So there's tricky games. You always think that the games you don't want at this stage of the season, teams that are fighting for their lives. As you see Morris in possession. Ball in towards McGree's a decent one. He's in a lot of space and he never really turns into it. Puts himself in a bit of trouble. Finds Morris again. Sarmiento. Well, if Middlesbrough can get a goal soon, it'll throw up a great ending. As you now see Morris. He's up against the Coventry man. He's falling into McGree. In the penalty, goes for goal. It's a hard, low effort. Well saved by Rush with his 2 central from McGree in the end. A good opportunity, but he can't find the corner. Yeah,
I'm not entirely sure he knew what he wanted to do with that there, Riley McGree. He was in far too much space inside the penalty area, particularly for Frank Lampard's liking. But he almost had too much time for his own good, the former Birmingham City man. And in the end, on his stronger left foot, he couldn't quite find the finish. But there's, in an attacking sense, there have been some really positive signs for Middlesbrough in this second half. Maybe you can consider the more worrying signs defensively for Coventry, given how much space they've afforded Middlesbrough. But at least the away side have opened it up, and here they come again down the far side. That's a nice ball from Strelec into the penalty area. It's over the head of everybody. I think it was McGree again trying to get the cross in, and eventually Van Eyck can clear on the near side. But there have been moments in this game where Coventry have been put under quite a bit of pressure, and they haven't exactly been convincing.
Yeah, and as we see Matt Target with the ball in hand for the throw-in. And you now see Hayden Hackney in possession. 86 minutes on the clock. It has to go pretty soon for Middlesbrough if they want to produce one of the great comebacks of this season in the Championship. Ball on the right-hand side with Britton. He finds Luke Ayling. Got to start creating chances. Hayden Hackney drifts it to the right-hand side. It's a great ball, as Luke mentions, towards Sarmiento, who's been heavily involved. Not a lot of great things happening for him. He flashed it across the penalty area into a great area. Nobody attacking it. That's a foul from Matt Target. And it's a good ball. Yes, it takes a deflection. But it just feels like there's no one steaming in for Borough.
No, as I said, they're lacking that. Coincidentally, Haji Wright figure who's in the middle, who will dive into the 6-yard box and get his head on the end of it. It's been so beneficial to play this way for Middlesbrough over the course of the season, hasn't it, under Kim Hellberg? But tonight, it's just come up short. The need is somebody diving in there to win that ball. It's frustrating for Sarmiento, who I think has played himself into the starting lineup for the next game, because he's been fantastic since coming on. How different could this game be had he found the back of the net from that effort that struck the post? And as you've mentioned, Kieran, they have got some big games coming up against Oxford and Leicester. They go on to win those games and bounce back. You fancy them to really put on another run together, similar to the 6 in a row that they won going into this one. And the games that they've got coming up afterwards are going to be difficult against Birmingham, QPR, Charlton and Bristol City. They're just going to have to trot this one off as one that's not their night. What a ball that is to McGree over the top, and that is some of the best defending you will see all season from Milan van Ewijk. Both these two teams, particularly Borough, but Coventry at times this evening have been caught out by one long ball over the top. But this time, Coventry able to defend it brilliantly, and it's Van Ewijk, the best fullback in the league, doing it once again.
I think we've just seen the difference between the two defences, because we saw Luke Ayling struggle to deal with that ball for Haji Wright's second goal. Well, Van Ewijk, that is brilliant from him. Corner whips it towards target, falls to centre. He falls as he has the chance. He was offside anyway, which just saved him, because what an opportunity that was. He leans back, he falls as he has a simple tap in from a few yards out, and he is offside. We've seen it back again. He is definitely offside, so he gets away with one. But wow, has he made a meal of that?
He has. He's been poor since coming on. Target does brilliantly, and he has to get back on side there, Senny. I know he's marking the goalkeeper, but as soon as that ball is swung away from the goalkeeper, he has to move off. He has to get back on side, and he doesn't. It's a huge opportunity. Credit where credit's due to Matt Target. Struggled quite a bit in this second half, giving away the penalty, of course, but that was a superb header to almost create the chance. Here come Borough once again.
Yeah, 4 ball in behind, looking for Sene, doesn't find him. And it goes in towards the goalkeeper, who takes his time to get it back into his hands. And 89 minutes on the clock. Time is absolutely running out for Middlesbrough. You think 2 goals could be just too much in this one for them. They don't really look like scoring one more, never mind the 2 more. Another 2 changes are going to come up for Middlesbrough. It might be too late. The ball's down the right-hand side. Here they are on the attack. It has to go here for Helbjerg's side. SAMMYSK lays it off for Hackney in the penalty area, across the face goal. Great delivery. It's just on top of the head of Strelic, who can't keep it alive in the area, but he does keep it alive on the left-hand side. Morris, really poor ball. He's not had a great game, has he? Aidan Morris. Malander takes a chance in possession, then he plays it back to the goalkeeper. It's not been a day for the American midfielder.
No, it hasn't. He's been frustrated more than anything. I think Matt Grimes has basically done a number on him, and Radoni's helped Matt Grimes in that sense. It has been a frustrating evening for him, but that's the beauty of playing Matt Grimes and Jack Radoni.
Yeah, and here's Hackney in extra space on the left-hand side of the penalty. Lays it off towards Morris. Can he shut us up with a strike at goal? Well blocked by Thomas. It was a tame effort along the floor. Not enough power on it. And 6 minutes have been added on. Well, something has to go in the next 180 seconds. And so you feel in this one. As you now see, Malander goes across to the right-hand side for Luke Ayling. He's going to look for a deep ball into the penalty. Not a bad delivery, but nobody's there at the front post. It's cleared away by Asset, as we now see Luke Ayling in possession. He finds it on the right-hand side for Morris again. Ball's going to be played inwards. It's a poor ball from Morris again. It's just maybe echoing the words that we've just said after we saw some decent defending from Markello, who cleared his lines just before. Still the 2 changes ready to be made. Doesn't really seem like they're needed at this stage. As we now see Luke Ayling, he finds McGree. He's got Strelic down the line. Is he going to get there? Keep it in play. He is. Plays it across the face of goal, straight into the hands of the goalkeeper. You feel it could be that.
He's caught flat-footed there, David Strelic. If he's more aware, he can get to that ball earlier, and it's less of an awkward angle for him to cross the ball, and he'll be frustrated, will the forward, as he has been all evening. That's a really poor header from Malander, and Coventry now have the ball back in midfield. Brilliant play that from Victor Thorpe in the midfield. Knew the man was coming behind him, just slowed it down and won the free kick. You feel like now this is the opportunity for Middlesbrough to make the changes. They are going to make the changes. It's Finley Munro and Sanjay Hansen who are going to come on. Let's have a wait to see who it is that's coming off. But is this going to be too little, too late? You feel like it possibly is. Sanjay Hansen is a wide midfielder. He'll be looking to try and cause issues. And it's the former Swindon man, Finley Munro, who comes on at left back to replace Matt Target. They've just got to throw bodies forward. It's McGree that's gone off for Hansen. He's looked good at times. McGree obviously got the goal to get Middlesbrough back in it. But I just think at times he goes missing. And that's always difficult for an attacking midfielder. You have to try and avoid those games as much as often. And tonight, he hasn't. He has gone missing at times.
Yeah, he really has. As we see Top, the man over this free kick, he's going to hang it up towards the back post, and it's well headed away. Sarmiento clears his lines, and it's going to be straight into the midriff of Hackney, who's been left down in a heat. Gets straight back up. The captain doesn't want to waste any time in this one, as we now see it's ready to be taken. It's going to be a throw-in for De Silva with 3 minutes into added time. They needed one in this period, didn't they? Middlesbrough haven't got it. They're deep in their own half here. Luke Ayling takes on Markello, plays it long up towards Hansen. He can't bring it down. He ends up giving away a free kick, I think, for a high boot, and it's a real waste. And I think overall this has been a deserved win from Coventry, hasn't it? They've looked more dangerous in the final third. They're being more efficient defensively as well, and Hellberg with that first real taste of a top-of-the-table clash, and he'll have learnt a lot about his side.
Yeah, he certainly will have done. I think the biggest compliment you can pay to Coventry is that they've looked like a title-winning side. This is a team that they've not played the best football that they've ever played. They've not necessarily controlled the game, but what they have done is they've just repeatedly made things difficult for Middlesbrough. I looked to when they were 1-0 up and Middlesbrough were looking to try and get themselves an equaliser in that first half. Coventry just went through a 5-10 minute period where they just kept fouling Borough players and just frustrating them. It's exactly what you need to do in a game like this. It's exactly what they did in that game earlier on in the season when they won 4-2 away from home at the Riverside, when Middlesbrough were under interim management. And well, Kim Hellberg will, as you've said, will have learnt a lot from this game. And if you look at the fixtures they've got coming up, I don't really see it as either team have got much easier fixtures than the other. After this game, Coventry have got West Brom, Sheffield United, Stoke, Bristol City, Preston. They're winnable games the same way that Borough have got some winnable games. Yes, okay, the next two are a little bit easier in Oxford and Leicester, but Birmingham are in a really good moment at the minute. QPR are always a difficult side to beat. Charlton, you never know what you're going to get from Charlton. And Bristol City are an absolutely fantastic football team, in my opinion. So, look, in recent, you chalk this one down to a difficult evening against a team that are right up there with you, and you just have to crack on. You've won 6 in a row. One loss is not going to lose you the title.
God, how chaotic would it be if Millwall got promoted this season? I don't think I'd mind seeing it. What a challenge that is, though, from Romain Esse, just epitomising what's needed in a game like this. 95 minutes on the clock, 3-1 up, you're comfortable. Romain Esse slides in with a really aggressive but fair challenge. That's the type of thing that a fan would appreciate just as much as a goal, as we now see Luke Ayling balling towards Hansen. He takes a heavy touch, but he finds it on the right-hand side. It all feels too little too late from Middlesbrough, even if something was to happen from this attack. But it's just pretty static, isn't it, from Borough? Not a lot of movement. Feels like the writing's on the wall for their evening. Britain ball in behind. Good footing from Latibodia. He's not really put a foot wrong, has he, nope, today either? And see a forward ball looking in behind for Ellie Sims. Poor touch from Luke Ayling. Just felt like a bit of a car crash waiting to happen at centre-half. It's not like it's...
I think that car crash has happened, I'll be honest.
Well, yeah, it definitely has, hasn't it? But it's not something new. He's been playing centre-back for a long time now for Middlesbrough this season, and they've been successful with it, so you can understand why they've gone with it today, but it's just not worked today. He's been bullied by a real top-quality striker in Haji Wright, as we now see a ball on the right-hand side, and it's well intercepted by Markello, who celebrates with the Coventry fans. 6 minutes are up. Well, it's a hat-trick, a perfect evening for Haji Wright that probably seals the deal in this one. Riley McGree pulled one back in the 67th minute. As we see a final chance, terrible touch from Hansen. It falls towards Sarmiento on the right-hand side. He takes some heavy touches, dinks it in towards the back post. A man goes down in the area. A volleyed strike from Munro goes out for a goal kick. You think that will be that. It was Rushworth who assisted Haji Wright's second goal because of a bit of poor defending from Luke Ayling. But Coventry go back to the top of the championship. They leapfrog Middlesbrough, and in the end they go 6 points clear of third place Millwall, and fourth place Ipswich do still have 2 games in hand despite being 8 points off top of the league Coventry. But they'd rather have the points on the board, and that's what Frank Lampard's side do have. And with that, the full-time whistle has gone. The cameras linger on the man of the night, Haji Wright, the American, with a hat-trick to seal the deal for Coventry. It finishes Coventry 3, Middlesbrough 1.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in